오늘 원하는 플레이를 제대로 못하고 있습니다. 시도 맵도 조성주를 박을 수 없습니다.
To be the best, you gotta beat the best. The underdog was never meant to make it. Look at me now, number one, pound for pound. To be the best, you gotta be the best. The story of a legend in the making.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to day 2 here of the GSL Code S. Day 1 for me. I am back. I am a little under the weather, feel a little bit sick, but nonetheless, happy to be here.
Good to have you back,
Good
man.
to be back, man. I understand Reynor is one-upping me here for my role at the show. How was it casted with him?
Reynor did really well. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah?
especially having that kind of pro gamer insight come on here. It was a pleasure to have Reynor cast, and he's kind of doing the TY thing now where he's playing in the GSL and he's casting in the GSL, and he's
Yes.
actually going to run the gauntlet today. Hero picked Reynor first in the group selections.
I'm so excited for today.
And this is basically a group of death.
Yes, I mean this could not be a cooler group with the lineup of players that we have here. You know, the fact that I'm still sick, I was a little bit worried I might be too sick to cast today. Like, out of all the days I'm casting so far this year, this was the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
Look, GSL has been around for, I think, almost 13 years now. We've had periods of time where some foreign players have managed to look very strong, but overall, they've never gotten deep in the GSL. Really, it was like the very first season we saw Jinro get top 4. We had seasons we thought it would either be Special or Scarlet or Reynor who would maybe take this season. And I thought it was basically an inevitability that one of these top non-Koreans would do it. But I got a special feeling about this season. I think this could be one where Reynor could absolutely take it.
Man, I actually
I say
want to
that
know
with a 9% prediction here.
who's making these predictions. I have to give Reynor way
I think
more
that's
than 9%.
insane to me. 9%? Maybe that was on the Korean.
I mean, it must be, right? I feel like there's a little
Forms.
bit of pride on the line right there, saying that Reynor, of all people, one of the top 3 foreign players in the world, easy top 5, top 8 players in the world, like no question in my mind, only has 9% to advance from Group B.
That's wild to me. I understand the big support behind Hero there. By the way, guys, this graphic on screen, GSL, as far as prize pool goes, is now crowd-funded. So if you want to support the show, this is the avenue to do so. You can either get on the Patreon or you can use the Star Balloon feature. That's kind of like bits on Twitch as an example.
Yeah.
You buy those, you can give those to GSL to support the prize pool. And what does it say? Your finals ticket 2 per person? Oh.
Every 2 weeks, 3 winners are selected from people who have donated 100+ Star Balloons. So if you're in Korea, you want to get a ticket, that could be a little bit of a fun mini game. So you can snatch one up early that way.
It's kind of like when you go to the arcade and you win tickets by playing games, by like trying to get like short basketball shots into hoops, or you could just buy it with normal money, you know, the prizes you're going to get.
And the donation amount that we have on screen right now, I'm pretty sure this is the donations that have been raised since the previous finals. So I think this is just for this season already, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's what they said, but I thought they said it was at 3,000. So 30,000 makes me think maybe it is still from the previous season. I'm not sure.
I'll have to double check that.
Either that or maybe we had a big influx of donations. That is possible.
Well, you missed this, but last week when Reynor was casting, he was so hype about plugging in the Patreon and the Star Balloons because, you know, it's the prize pool that's getting crowdfunded, right? Reynor, he's come to GSL. He said in his interview, he came here to win. He's not looking for a second place. He's not looking for a top 4. He's not looking just to advance from the first group stage. He wants to win this thing, so he was not shy asking for a little bit of moolah there to be donated to the GSL.
He's like hyping it up as the Reynor Foundation.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
So guys, Group B today, obviously a lot of hype with that. We're going to be back every week on Thursday, so join us for Group D, Group D and then Group C. Okay, so we had a little bit of a schedule switch here.
Yeah, I think some of these players, I'm not sure which ones, but there's some kind of international event that's going on or online event, so because of the schedule conflict, it's going to go A, B, D, C. It's like the dyslexic version of the GSL.
That's right.
So. But every group lining up here is going to be so much fun. In Group A, TY came in, had his last hurrah. He has since retired from StarCraft 2. Had some fantastic games, especially Game 2 versus Maru was so fantastic. And Rogue is back in Group C, guys. Let's see how the group selection went for Group B.
B조의 김준호 선수.
저그 선수를 뽑고 싶긴 한데 보고 싶은 선수들 있는지.
전 사실 레이너 선수 어떻게 생각하는지.
No, Toss is too in at the moment. I'm good. Thank you.
레이더가 피해?
혹시 박용호 선수
명호는 제가 안 될 것 같아요. 그러면은 토스 중에 혹시 들어올 선수 있나요?
없습니다.
없습니다. 그럼 마지막으로 테란 중에 원하는 테란 있으면 한번 물어보고 아니면 그냥 뽑겠습니다.
현우가 강렬하게 원하는 것 같은데 제가 보기엔 제 현우를 잘 알거든요. 현우를 뽑아줬으면 좋겠어요.
아니 나 가만히 있었는데 왜 나를? 아니 저는 뭐 항상 말했듯이 이번에도 제 위치를 좀 확인해보고 싶어서.
아 무조건
네.
뽑아야 돼 무조건. 저럴 때
어.
뽑아야 돼 진짜.
아니 그거 말고 명장이 좀 더 낫지 않나?
제가 뽑을 수 있는 선택지가 많은 것 같지가 않아가지고 일단 레이너 선수 뽑도록 하겠습니다.
Whoa, okay.
멋있다, 멋있어.
아니 너무 멋있다.
Well, as I said, Toss is pretty good, but I think I'm also pretty good right now, and I don't think it was too wise from Hero to pick me this early, and I'll do my best to defeat him.
굿럭.
Good luck.
페이크냐?
레이너 선수는 뭐 생각하신 선수나 아니면
Well, I don't know yet. Does anyone want to join our group?
저 해도 좋을 것 같은데.
It's not bad, but I was more thinking along the lines of Su, maybe.
제가 들어가고 어윤수 선수 남아 있으면 제가 어윤수 선수 마지막 픽으로 선택하겠습니다.
No, I think I will just pick Su straight away.
뭐수 메이비 자꾸 하는 것 같은데? 근데 일단은 제가 여기까지 일단 왔다는 게 놀라웠는데 원래 일찍 뽑히면은 제가 레이너 선수 뽑으려고 했었기 때문에 그건 상관이 없었고 준호가 있어가지고 그게 좀 어려울 것 같네요.
저조에서 무서운 건 레이너가 아니고 김준호다.
네네네.
Okay, yeah, I pick Su.
편했어요.
Because I like CVZ, and I think he's a good opponent for me.
어윤수 선수의 지명권을 행사하실 차례입니다.
같은 조 선수들의 생각을 좀 듣고 싶어가지고
I don't know. I don't care. It's all the same.
명우를 뽑기 싫었지만 제 입장으로 말하자면은 이제 3저그가 되면은 준비하기 편하기 때문에 령우 오면은 좋을 것 같고.
저는 당연히 준호가 령호를 싫어할 줄 알았는데 그래서 령호 제외하고 생각하고 있었는데
저는 원하지 않아가지고. B조에 병재형이 잘 어울린다 생각해서 병재형 좀 추천해드리고 싶어요, 김재형한테.
준호 생각대로 하고 싶었는데 이거 어지럽네요. 구미호님 뽑을게요.
레이너 고명재 어떤가요?
It's okay.
무조건 우승할 수 있도록 열심히 해봐야 될 것 같아요.
약간 B조를 가면 레이너랑도 게임 해볼 수 있잖아요. 제가 레이너랑 게임한 지 좀 오래된 것 같아서 한번 하면 재밌겠다 이런 생각 했던 것 같아요.
왜 뽑으려고 했냐? 한국 와가지고 레더 돌리는데 사실 뭐 만나봤는데 그렇게 딱히 어렵지 않았고 그리고 그 앞에 있던 순위 선수들이 이미 다 뽑힌 상태여서 레이너를 뽑고 싶었어요.
Well, I think my group is tough, but I think it's very doable. I can't believe I got picked first. It's kind of funny, but we'll see.
Dude, I can't wait to get these games, man. This is going to be so fun.
Yeah.
You know, Reynor, he's been settled into Korea for a couple weeks now. I was super hyped to see that he was zeroing in on Season 2 at GSL as one of his goals to come in and dominate. You know, there really isn't a tournament that has this kind of format in the rest of StarCraft 2. The live event every week, the build-up, you know, every game's followed, but at the same time done in a setting, you know, with this much pressure. I think he's got a shot to take it. I do think Hero realistically could win, though.
Hero's been looking really good lately, especially after Season 1 where, yeah, he did lose the finals 1-4 tomorrow, but it's Maru of all people, right? I mean, Hero had this issue, I feel like, last year where he was killing pretty much everyone in online tournaments. Then he would come to offline, and I don't think he was choking, but he was underperforming. And then in the first GSL of this year, he came through in such a dominating fashion in Season 1. I think this is partly why he picked Reynor here as his first opponent. He's feeling so confident right now in his form. I mean, he was in the group selection after picking Reynor, trying to get him to also get Dark in there. So, I mean, Hero's confidence right now has got to be through the roof.
Well, the reality is when Hero's playing really well, it seems to be really difficult to beat him here. Budget Sarah's what this says.
The Wish.com version of Sarah.
This is when you get Sarah on Alibaba.
By the way, the players themselves choose that, by the way. This is Reynor poking a little bit of fun at himself.
So funny. Look, Reynor, he's been in good condition. He's been out here, like I said, for a couple of weeks. He has been streaming a lot.
Yeah,
he's been in good condition. He was posting, I think he's ranked 2 right now online. So, I mean, both these guys are in great shape. I think this is probably the most important match inside of this group.
Absolutely. In my opinion, Hero and Reynor, both these two players are favorites to get out of Group B. But honestly, I have no idea who's going to get out in first. This is such a stacked group. Hero and Reynor, 2 heavyweights. Reynor from Europe, Hero from Korea. I can't wait to get into this one, Tasteless.
All right, guys, we're ready to get this going. Hero versus Reynor, the first best of 3, Group B, starts now.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's go.
Okay, Hero in the bottom right, Reynor in the top left. Now, keep in mind that Reynor is quite good at this matchup on both sides, which gives him quite a big insight. All pro gamers can kind of, on some level, play all the races and know all the matchups, right? I mean, you're just around the game so much, and you do off-race a decent amount, but I think Reynor, more so than your average pro player, has a lot of insights here.
Yeah, he will play Protoss in tournament situations. And by the way, if you guys missed this discussion in Group A of GSL last week, we actually have a change of rules here in the GSL, whereas previously you had to declare your race. So what's up, everybody? Welcome down to the studio. A lot of people coming from around the world here. And as I was saying the rules, previously in GSL, you had to declare the race that you would play for the entire tournament, which obviously was a handicap to Reynor as somebody who occasionally likes to play Protoss in the PvZ matchup, but they changed it to the ESL rulebook, which I'm basically just calling the Reynor rule because he's really the only player that gets to take advantage of this, where you can now choose, I believe, on a map-to-map basis, which race you want to play in a series. So we might have a chance to see Reynor play PvZ against Sue or play PvZ against somebody else later on in this tournament. A distinct possibility because he is good at this matchup, not just on the Zerg side, but also on the Protoss side.
So there's a little bit of history with that. Early on, this is like way back in StarCraft 1, the first year or two they put the game on TV, a lot of people race picked. And it became a problem because there was a circular nature that would happen in race picking where like some people want to play Terran versus Zerg, Zerg versus Protoss, Protoss versus Terran. So what happens if you have somebody that was in that kind of matchup picking thing? And the combination of that and the fact that generally it was better branding for the show, like in that case it was the OSL and the MSL for the Star Leagues, to have one player play one race, you could kind of build a storyline around that player and the character and the play style they had. But yeah, they've changed it just now to be more of the ESL rules here, and so we might see some race picking. Right off the bat, though, pylon block here from Hero.
Yeah, this is such a clutch time to come in, too. Reynor only has 2 lanes out on the map, so this is causing him quite a bit of headaches. And this is part of Hero's opening build. He played it about as greedy as you possibly could. He didn't go for the early scout.
Right.
He went for gas first, so his Stargate is 2 seconds faster, and with this really quick adept across the map, he's able to throw down that pylon and completely disrupt the opening build order here for Reynor. Reynor would have loved to throw in that hatchery maybe 30 seconds ago, and oh man, even this Overlord might get taken down as soon as that Oracle pops out. Great start here for Hero, all things considered. I mean, Reynor's got to be feeling the pressure straight away.
Yeah, this third hatchery coming along now. The Oracle about to pop out. A quick poke in there with the Adept confirms it is going to be the hatchery, exactly where he expected it to be. Looks like he can't quite get that Overlord. He'll have to wait for the Oracle to come out, but he's not going to show the Oracles yet. He's actually pooling 2. We'll see. I don't think he's going to get pull up to a 3rd, but he might as well. And take it to 3rd base, so he does show the first one.
Yeah, kind of an interesting choice to bank the first.
It's like he banked it up to halfway to where the second Oracle was out, which is a funny timing for that.
I'm not sure what that feign is supposed to accomplish. I think these mind games are a little bit too high a level.
Well, I wonder if it's like, it looks like there was one other tech building made before the Stargate.
Yeah, that's
Does
what
that
I'm
make
thinking
sense?
too, or maybe an additional gateway unit. I'm not sure exactly what Hero is trying to play at.
It was clearly very deliberate.
Mhm.
This is one of these things where you get 2 top players and they're so good at reading each other that, you know, a 15-second delay on sending a unit out can completely throw the other player on a trajectory that's going to put them in a bad spot.
Hero with a quick trigger finger, they're actually able to take down the Spore with the drone inside of it, so a really nice pick off there. And the follow-up from Hero is not the typical Twilight Council and Forge. It's a relatively fast robo into a later Twilight Council, so we'll have to see exactly how Hero is going to use that. It makes me wonder, the way his build is lining up, if this is going to be something like a timing based on robo units coming into the pipeline. I'm curious whether he's going to go for Colossus. That is something that Hero has done in the past. A 2 or 3 Colossus stall in with a heavy number of Blink Stalkers and +2 ground weapons could be in the cards here.
You know, one thing about Hero is you basically don't see him play the really, really passive style. He likes to push. He likes to kind of, with a ground army, engage with the other player. We've had a lot of other Protosses, and it seems to be growing as a trend to just tech up into carriers and kind of let the game pan out as both players build up into late game. But Hero, not so much. I mean, I'm expecting this to be a game where Hero's going to come out and try to close this out at a specific moment.
Yeah, and the tech coming in, it's going to be Immortals, no Robotic Spay, and relatively fast charge even before Blink. So Hero playing a little bit of a different flavor of PvZ right now.
He might go for like an Immortal Zealot charge push. I feel like when you do this, it has to work right away. It's not a build that, you know, you kind of do damage over time. He's got 5 more gateways. He does have a Templar Archives coming down as well.
Yeah, this is interesting. This might be Hero just trying to play Reynor a little bit by the way these Lings coming in. There is a shield battery. Some nice surface area coverage here by Hero, just scooting all these units back into the shield battery, not allowing Reynor to get us around on anything, so Reynor will have to retreat with those Lings. And Reynor's only playing 1 Evolution Chamber. He's going for +1 melee attack, which means that if Hero's able to hit a timing, I mean, the Warp Prism's in production. We have 6 more gateways underway. Templar Archives with nearly 600 gas in the bank. Those Zealots are going to be two-shotting the Lings, Tasteless. This might be Hero metagaming Reynor a little bit, and this might even be why he picked Reynor first in the group. If he's gotten to play enough games on the ladder against Reynor that he feels confident enough that he can almost go for a snipish build.
Yeah, sometimes you just have, you know, an ace up your sleeve, as in you have one build that you know will beat this player. And so it feels a little bit like that could be the case right now. Now, a lot of roaches are coming out, which means Reynor can sense that this attack is about to come in here. Reynor's trying to take 2 bases at once. It appears that this initial push is going to be coming up through the bottom.
Notably, no Zealots shown in this, just a couple of Stalkers and some Adepts, but not very many Stalkers altogether. So
it
Reynor...
seems like the 3 Stalkers and the 3 Adepts is a really deliberate attempt to throw off the opponent. He's going to get some Archons here as well.
Yeah, we'll see how this works for Hero, though, because Reynor himself is kind of planning on going for something aggressive. He's cut drones all the way at 65, going for Roach Ravager, even a Queen drop coming in. And now he's meeting Hero in the middle of the map. The first Oracle does get taken out, goes a little bit too far forward into those Queens, but you're going to see the power of this Protoss army pushing forward. Not a bad engagement right now for Hero. If he can micro back with these Archons as he does, that is some very good control. The front line basically evaporates here. For Reynor, the Archons are getting so much damage in, Tasteless.
He's continuing to push it. Here comes that big Zealot warp in. Meanwhile, the Link counterattack is going to come through. There's nothing here to block. The Archons are extremely low in shields. It looks like the next 2 could fall within a matter of seconds.
Yep, Reynor focuses those downs with the Queens and the Ravagers, but there might just be a little bit too much in the front line. The drones are getting pulled to go toe-to-toe with these +1 Zealots. That's not a fight they want to take. Ravagers trying to get us around. Hero doing his best to break through this position, but Reynor, despite these drone losses, he's not actually fighting back that well. I mean, these Immortals, they can just lift back up into the Warp Prism, and Hero can recharge for round 2.
I think Reynor's actually okay. I mean, he's lost a lot of drones. He's lost a lot of drones. The push is being driven back. he is continuing to do a little bit of harassment here and there. We're going to see probably another explosion. Well, hold on. He could actually have full-on counterplay coming up here.
I feel like Hero is well positioned to deal with this, though. He's even has a cannon and multiple shield batteries here at the third base. His worker count's at 63 to the 42 drones of Reynor. Hero right now just needs to stabilize back at home. Reynor is trying to eke out a couple of drones, but really, he has to get damage done with this. This is a great start. These Zings finding 9 more kills. Zings, how do I call him that?
He's continuing to kill off probes, but he's taken out 10 so far. We're going to see them cycle back up into the main. The counterpunch from Reynor is pretty pronounced. We've got drones coming down. Missile attack upgrade about to finish. A Baneling's nest being made. Keep in mind that where that push came in from Hero, it was not one that took out either of the new bases. So it is Reynor on 5 bases while Hero's still on 3. The counterpunch to the counterpunch is inbound now. Reynor has a couple links to try to come in. The question is going to be, did Reynor overmake the drones? This is, once again, this is a push intended to end the game. He's not trying to shave off bases here. He's trying to come in and do fatal damage.
Now those Ravagers in the front line need to get canceled because GG. Hero's army is just too much. And what an explosive game number 1 coming in from both these players.
That was a really cool game.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I thought the counterattack from Reynor was pretty good, but I think he underestimated the fact that that swing back in there. The fact that the 2 Immortals were kept alive, by the way, from the original push. He had like too many strong units. Once you hold off that attack, you would have banked enough gas that you could just make a couple more Archons, and it's going to look just like the original push that's coming in there. 2 times in a row, we see Hero come with a push that's not there to like take out base after base and then go back and get more ahead. Instead, it's there to kill the other player.
Yeah, and it nearly decapitated Reynor. He lost an entire mineral line, the fully saturated third base. He was able to claw back almost with the counter damage. I mean, Ling drops and Overlords. How often do you see that in this matchup? Reynor coming through with basically all the tricks he possibly could, but that standing army for Hero a little bit too strong, and that build-over lineup was really well played by Hero. You can see the preparation coming into this match. I mean, what a sick timing push.
It was so sick. Ghost River, guys, for map number 2. Hero right now with a 1-0 lead.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now.
This is a really quick probe across the map.
Oh yeah, it's an Insta Scout, isn't it?
Yeah. Scout before Pylon. Coming across the map now. The Overlord's going to see it.
Just going to make sure that Reynor cannot throw down that hatchery here on Ghost River.
So the drone's going to come forward. He can get the block off over here.
Always an annoyance here for the Zerg player, man.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sacrifice for the Protoss just because you're not mining with that one probe.
This is a dark-esque move coming out from Reynor, though. Wait, he throws down a pool instead? Doesn't go for the hatchery there, the natural. Interesting. Huh.
Pineapple pizza. How dare you?
He's trying to tilt the Italian.
That's right.
Trying to tilt the Italian on stage.
That's what caused that early pools. You saw that sign.
Is Reynor going to go for a hatch block here?
I think so.
Okay, this is crazy.
Well, he wants to, but there's going to be a probe block to block
no.
that. Now he can't get it down. So
the second probe is here, too. He's not going to get it.
He could just, like, get into a position where this is so bad that he can't win right now. He needs to put a hatchery down somewhere.
Oh, this is a nightmare start.
Excuse me, he put the other hatchery down in his natural. But, I mean, this is already pretty bad. I know it looks minor, but 6 lings are being made.
Doesn't even get the block on the Nexus, too.
I know.
I mean, these small things add up so heavily in the early game in PvZ.
The most important parts of builds are in the first couple minutes. Because if you mess that up, then everything else is later.
Especially in this matchup. I feel like PvZ, I mean, maybe up there with ZBZ, but at least among the non-mirrors is by far the most snowbally matchup. Where Reynor was talking about, I think he said that sort of as a Zerg player from Sweden, he's like developed a rule where if he loses like the 5 drones before like the 6-minute mark, he just like instantly GG's out of the game or something in PvZ, because it is so focused on that. Now let's see if Reynor can get something done here with these 6 lings, but Hero is quite wise to it, even going to allow this pylon to finish. to make sure he has enough time for this adept to come out, be able to
Yep.
get a micro.
And so he does kill it. He doesn't overcommit. And so, you know, obviously this isn't the game that Reynor wanted to play. Hero's been in control from the very beginning. It's a control play that wasn't off the back of a successful rush or anything, but really just blocking stuff, forcing builds, denying the counter blocks, and so here we are.
And a very similar vein to the previous game. I mean, back when Hero dropped down that pylon with the probe and then came in with the adept to deny the third base of Reynor, it caused so many problems, just completely disrupted his build. And here's Reynor not going for the third hatchery, or the hatchery, the third base, I should say, instead going for the hatch block, not able to get it off because Hero pulls the second drone. He makes 6 lings, trying to get some counter damage done. And yes, he did kill a pylon, but that is not worth what could have been 1 or 2 more drones back at home. And every single ling is going to go down to 3 adepts, which means Reynor now needs to reproduce those units. So his drone count is very low right now, only at 24. The first Oracle's in production, a 4th adept.
He's making another
also
pair
in
of lings
production. Well, he has to,
yeah,
these
just
adepts.
to hold this off, yeah. A little bit of pressure. Reynor's probably going to feel pretty inhibited with a lot of the choices he has to make coming up here too, just because of the way this game has started out. Link speed is close to finishing up. That Oracle, we saw it banked earlier. I don't think it's going to be hidden this time around. I think we'll just send it right across, especially with these adepts just coming in.
I mean, look at how many lings Reynor feels like he has to make because speed also isn't finished at this point.
Yeah.
About 10 or 15 seconds out.
And behind this, there's going to be a third base taken. Nice job denying the creep tumors. I got to say, Hero is just really in control of this game.
His early game has just been so on point, both in Game 1 and Game 2. It's honestly pretty phenomenal. And the scouting information he's getting on this too, seeing the new drones coming in, seeing the exact ling count. I mean, Reynor is just... I don't even want to say that he's been fumbling this because it doesn't feel like he has. It's just that Hero is hitting these insane timings in the early game, and Reynor, without the completely perfect reaction, just gets absolutely handicapped here. And like, even Larva going down.
Even killing Larva.
Now,
So
this could be some good counter damage here for Reynor if he's able to get something done, but this Nexus is far enough along, and that adept there at the corner means it's only going to be 1 pylon.
He's going to try to come up here. I thought for a second he might be able to slip up above that adept. Now the Oracles come through here, and they can basically just laser down these lings. You know, it's an early game that could be death by 1,000 cuts, where Hero's just played like literally at 100%. He really hasn't had any moment where he's faltered micro-wise.
Yeah, and even these lings coming in, there's just been so many adepts slowly trickled out by this early gateway that Reynor just can't catch a break in terms of damage. I'm finally going to be able to get at least 1 probe of counter damage in, but here we're almost at the 6-minute mark. And Zerg and Protoss are basically toe-to-toe in terms of workers. This is not where Reynor wants to be. He was not able to get the damage done that he wanted to get done. And this time it's going to be Blink and a 4th Oracle in production. This is looking really scary for the Italian Zerg player.
Yeah. 4 more gates coming down. This is a game where the push might just come out and end Reynor. And oh my God!
He just gets there at the perfect timing.
Yeah. Literally at a moment where there's just nothing the Zerg can do to react. He's going to send another drone down here to 4th hatch. This is a painful game because you know that you're getting further and further behind. It's a little bit like sinking in quicksand.
This feels like one of the best early game PvZs I have seen Hero play in a very long time in 2 back-to-back games.
Yeah. It's just a really clean play.
More gateways now powering up back at home here for Hero. Very late forge, and I mean, even killing lings like this with this Oracle, it's not a bad play. I mean, the defense is buttoned up enough back at home there for Reynor that anything you can do to lessen that army count here. Reynor's only at 58 drones. He can't really drone beyond this point. He has to prepare for this push coming cross map. Blink is done, and this is a frightful choke point to try and get us around on here as Reynor. So he's going to go for a counterattack here at the 3rd.
Yeah, let's see what the counterattack can do. It's pretty clear that this little pylon here is going to be a launching pad for more warp-ins. He's making some banelings just out of vision. The adepts don't manage to do anything but force those lings to come up a little bit further. He's heading back.
He knows. Didn't see any units in the front.
Oh my God.
Hero's spider senses were tingling.
And an Oracle can easily just kill off as many banelings as it has energy.
This is very scary for Reynor. I like the Hail Mary play trying to go for this counterattack, and now maybe
Yeah.
he's going to be able to clean this up. But even the Sim City coming down here with the pylons. The Lings can't get surface area here
He takes
on the
gateway out.
Stalkers. Nice around here on the shield battery. Oh, Bailing's coming in. If they can get a good connection here on the probes, but they're just a little bit too quick to evacuate from that position. In the meantime, Hero now trying to breach the third. Stasis traps going down here in the front line. The Queens fighting all by their lonesome. Lings now coming in the back line to try and support. It's a good number of Lings here for Reynor. I wonder if this is going to be enough. Those Oracles are relatively low on energy. A blink back to the ramp to try and minimize the service area here, and Hero takes a relatively favorable trade. More gateways going down. This one in the front lines as well as the shield battery even.
Oh man, that Spinecrawler's just not defended. The Lings are a little bit too far back, and so he's going to lose that. The Stalkers are continuing to come forward here. This gateway is going to be finishing in a second. So more and more Warpins are coming in. The Oracles are low on energy. There's no probes mining at the third.
Yeah, the counterattack's been pretty good here for Reynor. He's levying a lot of pressure on that third base of Hero. Disrupting the mining means that the reinforcements coming in and now catching all these probe kills and actually going to force a recall from the Protoss player. So this is Reynor buying himself some much needed time on the front line. That probe count goes all the way down to 49. So now finally Reynor has a little bit of an economic edge.
Lings are coming up now. I gotta say, I feel like Reynor's got a better shot here. These Banes come up. One does connect on the Stalkers, but more Stalkers are going to spill through. There's so many Stalkers coming.
At this point, I feel like the army at the front line might be just a little bit too much here. Those are still slow banelings, so I mean, the splits are pretty easy to manage here. The Queen's also very low on energy, means that these Zealots are going to be able to make mincemeat of the Lings of the front line. The drone's getting pulled once again, and a standing army here for Hero. It might just be too much. Banelings, relatively good connections. Bailing speed finally just now finishes, but there's no follow-up.
You know, the arc was so perfect from those Stalkers. The numbers are continuing to get lower and lower here. I think that Reynor, if he can't stabilize here, is going to die. There's not enough drones here to back up anything else. The Stalkers, there's more Stalkers than everything else that Zerg has that could fight right now.
Man, what an early game from Hero, culminating in two absolutely vicious timing attacks, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. And you can see why he was feeling confident enough to pick Reynor first in this group. But I don't even think Reynor even played badly there. Hero's early game was just absolutely out of this world. Reynor did a good job of fighting back with the counterattacks, but at the end of the day, Hero going to pick up the 2-0 win.
I gotta say, Hero looks so good. We were saying that I think Hero may be more likely to win here. He just looks really strong. Obviously, Reynor not out of this group yet, but he is going into the losers match. It is going to be a long road ahead if he does manage to survive here. Specifically in Game 2, I mean, some of the scariest, early game PvZ, just an exact perfect decision making. Guys, short break. We'll be right back with match number 2 in Group B. Don't go away.
I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, warm hot. Turn me up a notch. 600 degrees, got me burning up the spot. Fresh up out the pot. Get it till I got. Make a feel flame. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't. South Beach, make 'em feel the heat. I can tell you fake before you even speak. I'm just heating up, you hit your peak. We not neck and neck, even in my sleep. He said start a ride, I'ma start a fire. Sweet scent of the smoke make me come alive. If you see 'em by my side, then they bonafide. And you can feel the heat, we don't notify. When we come, pick a side, tell them that you down to ride. It's a fire, everything is lit, lighten up the sky. In the air, long way to the ground. Better hope you fly like the time. Only get it once before it pass you by. Oh, they know we near. It's getting hot up in here. You know it get heated at the top. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, warm hot. Turn me up a notch. 600 degrees, got me burning up the spot. Fresh up out the pot. Get it till I got. Make a feel flame. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't
저희 1화 본편 나오고 처음 촬영이잖아요. 대박 낮은 의미에서
네.
저희가 로또를 준비해봤습니다. 재밌어요. 진짜 로또.
이거. 이걸 가져왔어. 대박 나자! 너 로또 되면 안 오겠다?
안녕. 저희 1화 본편 나오고 처음 촬영이잖아요, 지금.
네.
대박 낮은 의미에서
네.
저희가 로또를 준비해봤습니다.
진짜로? 나 정했어요. 이거. 이거 만약에 당첨되면 어떡해? 반띵 안 해요? 다 내 거예요? 진짜로? 나눠야 되나요?
아니, 나머지. 한 장 뽑아주세요.
이걸 뽑고 싶은데 난 똥손이니까 이걸 가져가겠어. 대박 나자!
받았는데 1등 되면 말고.
벌써 느낌이 좋아. 내 손을 떠달라 그러자. 너무 좋은 거니까. 나는 소박해. 우리 동네 진짜 닭강정 맛집을 찾았어요. 대짜로 한 일주일 내내 먹고 싶어요.
일단 집을 한 채 좀 사고 저축 좀 하고 가족들 좀 주고 얼마나 좋을까요?
감사합니다. 너 로또 되면 안 오겠다?
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to match two here, excuse me, in Group B. Reynor has fallen. He's not out of the group yet. He can fight back from the loser's match. But we have to see who wins and who loses between Su and GuMiho coming up.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting match. Su looked a lot better last season of GSL than he had in recent seasons. You know, this is a guy that was a perennial finals candidate in pretty much any tournament he would enter for years and years and years.
It's kind of sad. We were basically expecting Su to grow into the GOAT spot or kind of fall out and get stuck in second place and then, you know, drop down. And it was the latter that happened. But, you know, every season at GSL, it's a moment to turn a new leaf. A new chapter here, so let's see how he can do.
I mean, Maru, CVT hasn't really been his strongest suit, but was able to win at least one game against Maru there previously in GSL. So Su looking a lot better in terms of his recent form.
But of course, he is going up against GuMiho, and you know, the thing with GuMiho is he's just not like any other Terran. He's got a different approach. He thinks about the game differently. All the Terrans can be played in a certain way, and he'll still come out with kind of his own brand. He mechs a lot, and even when he mechs, he doesn't mech like the other players do. He is capable of playing the standard orthodox TVZ as well, so should be a fun one.
Yeah, I wonder what GuMiho is going to bring to the table in this, because we have seen some really clever builds, especially mech-based builds, and a variety of different matchups over the past couple of seasons, I think. It's been almost a reimagining of Terran gameplay here in Korea. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and GuMiho, one of the most creative players we have here in the GSL. Let's see who's going to take it here in match number 2 to join Hero in the winner's match. Su versus GuMiho. Let's get started.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's
Okay. In the top right, Su. In the bottom left, GuMiho.
Playing on Crimson Court here for map number one. Jesus, what is wrong with me? I did not have enough coffee, man. Tripping over these words. Su, of course, one of these players with such a long history of success in Korea. So many fans pulling for him to make a return to form. I mean, what a treat that would be.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was exciting watching, you know, how strong he became, kind of the middle of StarCraft 2's history. You know, it's so rare to get to a finals that often. It's kind of crazy he didn't, you know, end up taking one in there in that period where he was, you know, it was over and over and over. So let's see how he performs. You know, I think there's always a little bit of desperation right when an RTS comes out, that to win and to do as well as you possibly can, because how long is it going to be around and what's next? But with StarCraft 2 is kind of seasoned as it is. I think it gives some players some ease of mind that, you know, just try your best the next time around and see what happens. And we're looking at, I think, a pretty different Su mindset-wise than the one in the past. I think he's a lot more comfortable.
Absolutely. I feel like the veterancy and also the lower expectations is something that can take quite a bit of pressure off on the big stage, like at the GSL here for a player like Su. So it's always good when we see him come out with a performance like he did in the previous season, where he looks more and more like the Su of old, because I guarantee you the mindset, that kind of experience is worth its weight in gold. And if Su can get his play back to the same level it was before, I could easily see him being a championship contender once again. But here in Group B, it's going to be a tough journey forward. This is about as stacked as a group in the GSL could possibly be, as GuMiho comes in here with this early Reaper. Ooh, nice grenade. Almost got that drone.
Yeah, really good control so far here from Su.
Wow,
Even
Su
keeps that second Ling alive. Look at that.
I mean, he got caught with his pants down a little bit with those 2 Lings in the middle of the map, running into the Lone Reaper. But able to save absolutely everything there is. Some impeccable control behind this. GuMiho going for a 3rd command center. Very fast factory with a reactor in the pipeline here for Terran.
So he's just going to leave that Reaper back there for the time being. Try to patrol. He's going to try to wrap around again here. Maybe get a kill on these Lings, get some closure. And he's actually, oh wow, almost gets that drone.
Gonna sustain a little bit of damage on the way out, but nothing fatal there, as the Reaper does get 2 kills.
So it's going to be 3 command centers. He is going for like a 1-1-1, excuse me, a 1-1-1 after that 3rd CC.
And look at this really fast layer from Su here, Tasteless.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Huh, 200 gas in the bank already. I wonder what the game plan is here for Su.
You gotta wonder too, because there's a Reaper moving around the map. And I mean, first of all, he's just gonna see the layer here. I was gonna say he could also just notice that there's not a 3rd base anywhere, right? I mean, that's another kind of red flag.
Yeah, he scouts pretty much everything. Sees a double gas in the natural expansion, sees it's only 2 base layer.
Now, I wonder if there's going to be a deviation from whatever the build was because this is spotted, right? Doesn't it feel like if you're Terran and you spot a 2 base layer, you just have to be ready for something weird?
Yeah, but it's at the same time going to be a little bit hard here for GuMiho because of how fast that 3rd command center was. If Su decides to fully pull the trigger here in terms of aggression, as that Reaper finally does get cleaned up, I'm not sure we're going to be able to see GuMiho stop it that easily. Now, he is going for Banshees, which do a great job of dealing with early aggression because, you know, Queens are basically the only units Su's going to have that can shoot up. And also sniping these Overlords like this, or trying to.
That's
going to slow down the pace here for Su quite a bit.
I mean, the one Banshee can over time hold off whatever you're going to throw at it, right? Unless you do have Queens in there. But, you know, at the same time, the attack that's going to come in from Sue, it's not going to be without some sacrifice economically on his own end here. It looks like he's pushing the creep out so he can expand kind of towards the Terran. Stim being researched now, so it's not going to be any kind of wacky GuMiho mech. Instead, it's going to be that standard biotech off the 3 base. So this is about as vanilla of a build as you can take here from GuMiho.
And I kind of like what I'm seeing here from Sue. He's playing this 2-base style with a very fast layer, getting relatively quick roach speed, roach ravager, staying on a low drone count, but 2-base saturation. And then behind it, he's taking the third with a high yield Vespene gas, which as soon as you grab that thing, it's like you have an extra 2 drones in your economy. And you know, if he had taken the expansion more quickly, probably hard for him to hold on to that high yield gas. He would have had to take the less coveted base to the triangle third instead, but here on Crimson Court, this is a map that is not very easy for Zerg, generally speaking. And so I like Sue kind of going a little bit off the playbook here with this Roach Ravager aggression. Even 3 Queens slow walking here to join the fray, so he will have an answer.
Okay, so this is a little bit more of a move to close the game out. This is not just a forced second, third base lift here. He's going to come forward now.
I think the goal here is just to get big damage. He's starting to drone a little bit behind this. Actually, 10 more drones in queue right now as Sue's looking to try and reap the rewards of this aggression. SCV's pulled here on the front line.
Yeah, SCV's in the front now. With a couple of Ravager shots, he could try to snipe that tank. The SCVs have to stay in the front. The Banshee goes down immediately.
Yeah, nice pick there from Sue. And he's killing so many SCVs right now. The green from GuMiho getting punished so hard.
Dude, this is a crazy amount of damage here. He takes the tank out now, so there's no anchor. Well, hold on, there's another tank up on the high ground.
Yeah, the siege tank just popped from the factory, but now the second base is getting lifted. 30 SCVs in total have gone down. 4 mules, relatively fresh, landed here at the natural, getting absolutely nothing done. And Sue just punished GuMiho's greed so hard. He's basically already at full 3-base saturation. I mean, it's only 63 drones, but he has that high yield gas. So this is a 3-base saturation for Zerg.
Yeah.
And he's taking that 4th hatchery. So this is a really well-structured build coming out from Sue. Just playing the map, playing the player, and just absolutely getting the soul read on the very fast 3rd CC from GuMiho and punishing him for it.
So this counter punch has to do something here. He's going to swoop through. He's going to unload here in the main. There's creep tumors to spot this. You can see that the Roaches and Ravagers are going to try to come back, but they're certainly not going to have that much time here. Stim Marines come through and wipe out the Queen, and now the drones are stuck. So many kills over here.
Yeah, at least 10 drones going to go down right now as the Roaches finally come back in to try and save the day. Hey, GuMiho needed that badly.
Yeah. So, not bad. Playing a little bit of catch-up here. Right now, GuMiho is still at only 31 workers. That's after the 10 drone kills there. But, you know, you can see how much more quickly Marine Medevac can get around than Roach Ravager, right? And in cases like this, they can even fight on the ground. If you don't have enough of whatever Roach Ravager setup you've got, then they can just keep pressing forward and doing damage. So that's pretty insane.
Yeah, without a good number of speedlings, it's really hard just to kind of play cat and mouse with those.
Now, this could be really good or really bad, actually, because if this is an overextension here, I feel like GuMiho is going to get flattened with a counterattack, but he's going to come out regardless.
I'm wondering if Sue might have overdrone just a little bit here as Roaches and Ravagers engaging here on the front line. Siege Tank's actually not sieged up just yet.
Dude, every bio is connected with an infantry unit here.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so this was a mistake from GuMiho. I was a little bit worried. I think when he saw how little was there initially, he thought, oh, okay, I just need to, you know, go for the kill. But instead, it's an overextension.
I was worried for Sue for a moment there, going up to 70 drones. I saw him go for the big production of Roaches, and I was thinking, you know, maybe GuMiho sieges this, gets entrenched, and then it's hard for Sue to breach. But, I mean, those biles were just absolutely on the money here for Sue. And Leo's going to come in here for the follow-up attack, but there might just be just enough sustain here for Zerg on the ground. We'll be seeing Sue waltz his way to a victory here in the mid-game tasteless. This is hard for GuMiho to get any momentum going in the middle of the map.
I mean, I feel like GuMiho needs to just stop pushing here. I don't know what he thinks he's going to get done. Roach Ravager is kind of made so that you can't push into it early. That's why you usually see Terrans like trying to just defend attacks like this and not attack into it. And I feel like GuMiho maybe just kind of letting the situation run away. Like you know, he started doing it, now he's just going to keep doing it.
I feel like, yeah, I think to put myself in GuMiho's shoes, you lose that many SCVs and you feel obligated to try and get something done, right? So it's hard really to fault him for trying to go for a counterattack like that one. And actually, Su here now committing back onto the third base. Great Biles there on the Siege Tank are going to take it out. Follow-up Biles going in onto the second Siege Tank, trying to get some damage done. As the Marine numbers have thinned so heavily. More Roaches streaming in here into the third. GG is called, and Su with a really brilliant game plan there in game number 1. I love the way that he just attacked GuMiho with that build. I mean, that lined up about as well as it possibly could have.
You know, I like that the 2 medevac counter drop to do damage. I think when he saw, like, I think it was like 2 Roaches and 2 Ravagers trying to defend, like, the 4th hatchery, I think he thought, oh, I can actually win this game right now. And he just pulled everything. And that's when the game backfired really badly. So, look, a great early game attack there from Su. He did everything he needed to do, and then GuMiho kind of threw the game when it maybe could have stabilized. We're going to Site Delta for map number 2.
Man, I'm excited for this. Su's been looking so good lately. GuMiho, one of the best Terran players in the world, certainly one of the best in Korea. Already here on match point against the underdog of the group. Su leading this series 1-0 as we get ready to go to Site Delta. Will he join Hero in the winners match, or will we go to a game number 3 between these two guys? Let's get to it.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's go.
Okay, Su in the bottom right, GuMiho in the top left. Again, Su looking really good. Really, really strong. And playing an overall good game here. You know, GuMiho, we always got to ask, from Germany, welcome.
I want to read that sign in the back, too.
I know.
I can't agree. I didn't get to see all of it, like to drink soju and watch StarCraft is what I'm imagining it said.
That's what it should have said.
Yeah.
We didn't say that already. For those of you whose signs didn't get on camera fully, just hold them up in the next game. We'll eventually get them. Yeah, Su looked really good in that last game. GuMiho, you know, you never know which card he's going to pull out of his deck. And the thing about GuMiho is he will do the really standard play. Let's see what he does this time around.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to see the same heavily greedy build that we saw him do in game number 1, because he just got like absolutely kneecapped by Su in the early game. That was a build basically designed to kill the 3cc greed with fast double engineering bay that GuMiho tried to bring to the table there in game number 1. And here in game number 2, I mean, GuMiho is one of these Terrans, much like Maru, who just has an unbelievable range of builds that he can draw from at any moment. And so I wonder if he is going to try and go back into the 3cc thing, or if he will go into something a little bit more GuMiho-esque, such as mech, such as battle mech. Maybe something sneaky with speed banshees. I mean, it's I feel you can list pretty much any single unit Terran can build, and GuMiho probably has a build centered around that.
Is he going to go for Reaper Cyclone this time? We're going to find out.
If anyone could do it with the current Cyclones, it would be GuMiho.
Yeah, but let's see what he goes for here. I think part of you know, the punishing play from Su does come from the fact that GuMiho did get kind of like, it's like the normie greed build. You know, it's like 3 command centers into like 1-1-1 bio. And if you do a push, not just with Roach Ravager, but with Queens too, then they don't have the anti-air. Normally what happens is you get a Banshee and the Terran has to lift and use siege tanks to try to defend and not lose too many SCVs, and you hold it over time. But in that game, he just took way, way, way more damage. So he's going to go for the 3rd command center again. This literally could be the same build as the game 1.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how he opened up in game 1. If it was the fast 3rd CC and then the factory, or if it was exactly this.
No, I think it was this.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
Well, this could be the other side of the coin. Is sometimes as a pro gamer playing in a series, you have this build prepared. You know it is good when it works. When it fires on all cylinders, you know of the potential, and you practiced it. And sometimes you have a game where it just gets completely derailed early on, and you're like, I'm just going to go back into this because I know how good it is when it goes well.
Well, you can fumble the build, so to speak. And, you know, it might look like it's not that strong, but you just need to actually get it to where it's supposed to be, and you're fine.
It will be a little bit different.
Okay, so it's the same buildings, but what's coming out of them is a little bit different. So this is going to be one Viking coming up here.
Vikings with multiple Hellions getting reactored out. Su, by the way, was able to sneak that drone into the third base past the Reaper, so nice early third hat trick for him, especially because GuMiho is opting for the 1 barracks opening instead of the 2 barracks Reaper opening that we've been seeing oh so often here in GSL. These 4 Lings are going to work their way into the natural expansion, actually looking more to get some scouting done. Going for that wall too. Forcing some idle time in the natural as these Hellions are just not getting microed. One of them gets picked off there. A rare hiccup here for GuMiho.
Yeah, Hellions continuing to come out in pairs here as that tech lab is going to finish up on the barracks.
It seems like he's trying to gear up for some sort of run by with Hellions. And so losing that 1 Hellion in the front line like that against Queens just hurts a little bit here for GuMiho.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and it's delayed Banshees too. This is an interesting way going about it. Su, by the way, already throwing down a Baneling's nest.
Yeah, the layer coming as well. And I guess for now we got to watch these Hellions and see what kind of damage he can get done. They're going to come straight through the middle here, taking out the first creep tumor. He is going to be in a position to take out a lot of drones. Drones are going to be transferred away, but they're shot down as well.
Got to be careful right there. Oh man, that grenade was so good there by GuMiho. There was a surround of the drones on the Hellions, and the grenade basically unseated the Hellions from the surround. He picks up a lot more kills. Almost the entire mineral line gets cleaned up. These Lings, though, getting some counter damage of their own here for Su. 4 SCVs fall, and the Banshee tech gets scouted. All the Hellions get cleaned up as well.
So, you know, not bad for sure for GuMiho. Getting as many drone kills as possible is the goal. He will go into bio. Of course, whenever you make that many Hellions, it does delay when the bio starts, right? But I think it's a manageable position here from Su. The counterattack did, I mean, I guess killing 4 SCVs is fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of a scary thing here, though, for GuMiho, because anytime you're the Zerg player and you see that many Hellions out on the map, you know that's pretty much all of the production that Terran has had in that game up until that point. So after the Hellions got cleaned up, even though they destroyed a good number of drones, we saw Su power up with something like 20 plus more drones behind it, because he knows that the follow-up attack from Terran has at least a minute and a half, 2 minutes in the pipeline. He has time to build up his economy again, all the way up to 70 drones now with a 4th and even a 5th base coming through here, and still have the confidence to be able to hold on once that follow-up attack comes in. Baneling speed is in production. 1-1 already started here for Su, not too far behind. The 1-1 of GuMiho as Su is really powering up back at home, going into Hydra Ling Bane.
So the Banshee's going to come through the bottom here. Just try to pick off some more workers. There was never that big counterattack coming through. We also have a small push coming up here. Now this I wasn't quite expecting. Oh, actually he's going to turn around with it. I guess a small link counterattack is going to draw it away.
These SCVs so bruised from the previous attacks.
It is a little bit different how Su used to play. If you notice, Su does like the absolute bare minimum of links to counterattack. When he was, I guess you could say, in his quote-unquote prime, it was like he counterattacked with the most links. He was very heavy on the counterattacks and kind of bleeding you out before you got your turn to push. This time it's much more about just stalling and buying time, but actually being ready for the push. And that push is coming in right now.
Yeah, and I feel like
there it is.
Once again,
4 more, yeah.
4 Lings coming in to the 3rd. And oh, GuMiho's looking at that. The Banelings are getting some good connections with the Marines on the front lines. And this push just gets completely stopped in its tracks. God, Su is playing some great ZBT today.
And, GuMiho with these very ineffectual pushes. I mean, really not able to do anything. Most games in TVZ, you see the push set up, the Zergs get back and brace for impact, and then the real story starts, right? This is like Terran coming out and just getting smashed.
Yeah, and look at the creep spread on the map, too. We've already pretty much reached the halfway point here at 8 minutes with Su on 5 bases, 82 drones with this healthy army of Ling Hydra Bane. This is a very formidable position here for Zerg. The siege tank count has been reset from that previous attack, and so GuMiho's going to try and press forward just with the Marines, but the connections here on creep are just too good, even running away from the medevacs. And Su is just dominating in this series, Tasteless. I don't know what else to say.
I feel like GuMiho's head is already underwater. I mean, the fact that he's making a 4th command center too means I think a counterattack could just kill him. It's possible Zerg just ramps up to maxed out supply. I think there's like 1 tank in the mix. I see 1 tank at the top left side of the screen, but like, he doesn't have a whole lot to actually hold this. Sorry, 2 tanks. We have a lot of Banes coming here. You know, Hydralink Bane, the damage really piles up very quickly.
I mean, the SimCity might save GuMiho here.
Yeah, it's pretty bottlenecked right there.
It's a tough position to break here as a Zerg, but Su, at the very least, he's buying himself a lot of space. The creep spread has almost reached the 3rd base of Terran here, which is something that you would expect in a game where Reynor is playing or Serral is playing, but this is Su with some of the best creep spread we've seen from him in years, it feels like. Just playing a phenomenal ZBT, nearing maxed pop now. And GuMiho trying to take this 4th base. The Ling spotting these Marines there should telegraph that Terran is expanding that side of the map, and I wonder if Su is going to shift his attention over there to the 9 o'clock position.
Yeah, I think that's the play. Well, hold on, he might just go for it. Okay, he's gonna back up for a second. And he's gonna loop around here, yeah, to that 9 o'clock spot like we were talking about, and I think that's probably the smart move. At this point in time, Su is maxed out in supply. He's made so many Banelings, he basically has to spend them. He's going to try to come up now and hit this position.
Yeah, Lings and Banelings running in the front lines, getting some good connections here with the Marines to start out, and then pulling back with the Banelings. Even these Lings flanking in, going to try and pick off that siege tank there at the low ground. They barely just miss it, but the firepower here on the front line is so high for Su. That siege tank alive is adding a lot of damage here for Terran, but it doesn't matter. 21 SCVs go down. The Marine numbers have thinned out almost completely, and GG again.
Damn, dude.
Wow.
Su looking really scary. Now, I'm super hyped about the winners match here because Su versus Hero, what is this going to look like?
That was one of the best series I've seen from Su against one of the top Terrans we have here in Korea. That was phenomenal.
When is the last time we saw GuMiho lose like that?
I mean, I can't even remember.
Or like GuMiho can't even get outside of his base. He just, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Su just with the counterattacks and the greed, and then intercepting the pushes at the perfect moment, both in game 1 and game 2. Really phenomenal stuff. Almost a return to form here for Su. I am so hyped for this winners match, Tasteless.
Look at his face. Stone cold killer, man. All right, guys, short break. Coming up next, Su versus Hero. We will be right back.
Fading lights coming down. So we give it a good run. Feel the night, all the sounds. Dance with me until we see the sun. 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 Fading lights coming down. So we give it a good run. Feel the night, all the sounds. Dance with me until we see the sun. Fading lights coming down. So we give it a good run. Feel the night, all the sounds. Dance with me until we see the sun. Dance with me until we see the sun.
You said, tell me what's been on your mind. Do you really wanna know how I feel? Everybody's losing their minds. I'm busy trying to find myself. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. You don't feel what I feel, so what? You can hear what I hear. Stuck in a cage with everybody else. Let me You said, tell me what's been on your mind. Do you really wanna know how I feel? Everybody's losing their minds. I'm busy trying to find myself. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. So who got first? Cause I'm all in. A little reckless, but I usually win. I got no plans. I do this as I go. Take a second to shake it off. Think twice. This ain't a stunt. Learn a lesson. Pay your dues. Don't let anyone tell you what to do, or what you should be, or what to do, or what you should be, or what to do, who you should be, what to do. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to decide who is going to survive Group B and move on into the round of 8, and who will face off in the final match of the winner of the match right after this one.
Yeah, pretty exciting and explosive game so far in both series. I feel like Hero versus Reynor, first 2 maps, absolutely ran away with it right from the beginning. And Su, kind of the same story. Just playing a pretty aggressive style in game number 1, and then in game number 2, with these like 4 to 6 lane counterattacks, just being an absolute nuisance on GuMiho's side of the map, catching him off guard in the middle, and then just obliterating him and not letting him after that. Some really fun, really exciting games, and given how relatively aggressive both these guys played in their first series, albeit in different matchups, I am super hyped to see them go head to head here.
I don't think this could be like a long death ball game.
No,
I think this has to be like a real back and forth for sure. We're going to be going to Golden Aura here for map number 1, Site Delta for map 2, Oceanborn if we get a map number 3. But this should be an action-packed one for sure, man. Su versus Hero. I think Hero probably slightly favored. Would you agree, State?
Oh, for sure. I think favorite to get out of this group easily right now. He is possibly the 2nd best player in Korea at the moment. He is looking so strong.
All right, guys, we're ready to go into game number 1. Su versus Hero. A fight to see who will advance first to the round of 8 in Group B starts now. Okay, Su here in the top left, Hero in the bottom right.
Hero with an early pylon scout. I wonder what Su's going to bring to the table here into CVP, all the way from Chicago.
Welcome.
Cheering for my Hero.
It's hard to not cheer for Hero.
Oh, he's one of the most
such cool play style. Yeah,
he's one of the most fun players to watch by far. Anytime you get one of these super aggressive Protoss players that will just try to kill their opponent, no matter the cost, it just leads to the most great games, in my opinion. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, as a Protoss player myself, but I love like the shenanigans and the crazy antics they get up to.
No, it's so fun. You know, he still has that style that really leans on the Zerg. When everybody else was doing a lot more of a slow passive play, he came out with that kind of turtled aggressive like 4th base while still just making stalkers, using oracles, sometimes teching into disruptors, but just having these really good pushes. And I don't think he's going to deviate from that here or not. So a couple things to note about Su here. It did seem like, and look, I know it's a different matchup, so you can't always like analyze one thing about one matchup and have it switch over, but he seems to want to counterattack with absolutely as little as possible and buy time, where the old Su counterattacked with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and Su also was playing with some pretty interesting build orders in both of his series against, or both of his games, excuse me, against GuMiho. So I wonder what kind of adjustments he will make to try and deal with the aggression of Hero, because I think beyond any doubt, Hero, he's not going to go to the stats-esque style of taking an early 3rd and 4th base and then turtling on a carriers with 2 Stargates relatively quickly. He's the kind of guy that's going to move across the map and try to kill you as best he possibly can. And Su should know this. Pretty much everybody in this group should know it. Hero is just notorious for this aggression, and Su in his opening game against GuMiho played a little bit out of the box with that 2 hatchery, fast lair, 2 base saturation, going for Roach Ravagers, and then a late 3rd base. And yeah, that was his EVT. It's not his EVP, but it makes me wonder if he might just try to look to absorb the punch, the first blow of Hero, like a sponge, and then bounce back with some kind of macro behind it. But we'll have to see exactly how this game is going to shape up.
We did in you know, our previous PVZ with Hero Reynor have the Oracle that was banked that then wasn't used for much, but this time it's going to be a Void Ray.
Yeah.
Now the Void Ray generally is like the most passive PVZ play. It's more of like a sweeping mechanism to clear out Zerglings and Overlords, let you take a 3rd base, and basically ensure you can't be killed. But it does, you know, once you see the Void Ray, you go, oh, okay.
Yeah, Void Ray into Oracle here for Hero, so it's a pretty safe, slow play coming out.
Which is not bad. I mean, you know, most of these pushes we've seen that have had great success from Hero are off of 3 bases, and sometimes an early 4th after that.
By the way, I love the Void Ray movement here by Hero. He knows there's an Overlord just sitting in his base, and he knows that if he kills that one first, he's not going to get this Overlord here in the middle, so he's going to try and get this one. The triangle third here of Su is there's a counterattack with a fair number of Lings, actually, and this is one of the pains, by the way, if you go for an early Void Ray is you don't have that Oracle to support you at the third base. So one Adept already goes down before the Oracle is able to come in. The third Adept had to plug the wall out of fear for a run by, so.
He gets that Oracle out. And, you know, he keeps the third base up. No forced cancel, nothing like that. Second Oracle being produced as we cover this. And it's going to be a little bit of tech here. A Forge and a Citadel. And so, you know, we were talking throughout all of this, you know, the first few minutes of this game that Hero is aggressive and he likes to get in there and do damage, and of course he's going to do it this game. This is looking really slow.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be slow when the Void Ray came out, but we know it's going to be even slower if there's a Forge starting now and the rest of the tech is still being developed.
That's a little bit of a slow build here for Hero, but Su has to be careful. 9 more drones about to pop, and Link production only just now beginning. These 4 Adepts with a couple of Oracles could cause some trouble here. There's only 4 Lings on the map, actually, and 2 Queens over here at the third base.
But,
so.
you know, but he's not going to want to commit with this. This is like all, you know, to try to sell a possible push. I think even though he could have done some more damage, you're right. Like if he had just let those come in and start killing drones, that would be huge. At the same time, though, he knows what he's really doing is teching behind this. So I think he's just going to kind of stay on the outside like this, do damage, try to force out Zergling, stuff like that.
Able to pick off a couple of creep tumors. Su goes for, what, like 12, 14 more Lings that could have been drones here, as he still hasn't fully saturated his third base, only just now taking the gas geysers there. And Hero's going to be going into Robotic Spade Tech, alongside Blink and +1, adding an additional gateway. And I'm wondering if this is going to be him gearing up for some kind of Colossus play. Hero, one of the players in Korea that favors Colossus more than perhaps a lot of the other Korean Protoss players do, as Stargate kind of is the trending play style in this region. Nice catch there by Su. And a second robotics facility too. Huh. Oh, wow, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, suddenly.
The Lings are totally out of position. That's not a bad trade there for Hero, getting 6 drones. I mean, it's not cost effective, but those Adepts pretty much already did their job, and Adepts are one of these units for Protoss that drop off in terms of value heavily as the game continues on.
You might as well try to get something done with them instead of just hanging on to them here. He's going to do a little bit of tagging over here inside the natural base. And, I mean, the tech is starting to really build up here for Protoss. We've got the Thermal Lance upgrade coming along here. We had a War Prism that was made a little bit ago. I assume he's going to use that to try to harass.
2 Robo Colossus as well.
Yeah.
In production. Additional gateways underway. And, oh, we have Swarm Host coming in from Su, really?
Whoa. And it's not just like a one Swarm Host, like styling on you, or I accidentally hit that button, Swarm Host. He's making 9 right now. This is kind of wild.
It is, but it's also a little bit scary here for Su, because unless he's able to get a lot of momentum right from the get-go, this could backfire pretty spectacularly here for the Zerg, because Hero, he already has a couple of Oracles out on the map. Those are going to be able to keep tabs on, you know, Nidus networks, which I assume will be paired up here with the Swarm Host. And, oh man, getting these drone kills is just adding insult to injury here as Su goes below Hero and word count again here in this game. But Colossus, they don't do that bad of a job microing against Swarm Hosts, especially with Blink Stalkers with +2 ground weapons and Thermal Lance. So I'm a little concerned here for Su. Unless he's able to get the momentum building very quickly with these 12 Swarm Hosts, he could be in trouble.
Oh, big snipe there. He's going to come in. Now, the first wave has to do enough damage to start to build momentum. And I think he could just juggle, just like this. So now suddenly, you know, this is looking a little bit foolish to go for a move like this.
Oh, and he's remaxing on a lot of Lings, too. There's already 4 Colossi on the map, bro. This is going to be scary to hold on against.
Yeah, this is going to be able to melt these small HP units. Really, the Roach is probably the only real beefy threat here. Everything's going to come down 4 Colossi now. Another warping round should start in a second here. The Swarm hosts are coming. Well, the Locusts are coming out. They're a bit staggered.
Yeah, you don't really want them to be that staggered here.
You need them to come out all at once so the damage can compound.
I'm worried there might not be enough on the ground here for Su unless he's able to take a really good engagement with these Swarm hosts. Okay, they're going to try and basically get a flank set up here with these Locusts as the Colossi are migrating back, but the Roaches on the left side pretty much all cleaned up. And the thing about this composition here for Hero, I mean, the Colossi and the Blinkstalkers, the Stalkers can just blink away, and the Colossi can basically also blink away with a Warp Prism from the Locust. I mean, they're quite slow.
Anything that's got a little bit of damage can escape easily. There's really no recourse here from the Zerg. And I mean, this is going to be a very straightforward push. At the same time, the Zerg dying under very unusual circumstances. We don't really cast games like this ever in modern StarCraft 2. Notice that he's just kind of ignoring the Swarm hosts, confident that over time he'll just beat the Locusts and kill everything else off besides them.
I mean, the Locusts have pretty much no sustained damage. The Roach Ravager count's a little bit too low right here for Su, and I'm afraid after a couple more of these engagements, we might just see Su die from a death by 1,000 cuts, as those Locusts, they're barely getting any kills. And they get one Stalker now, maybe a second one there on the ground, but that's it. That is not worth the money that were spent on them, and that's going to be GG. Well, you know, man, no momentum, and that will backfire.
Some welcome ideas for sure. The result of it was disappointing, though. I mean, there's no denying it, right? Like, that just did not get anything done. It's like, once you see the first wave of Locusts die, and it's like not more than 1 or 2 Stalkers are killed, you know you're in trouble.
I feel like the build order just did not line up very well there for Su. I'm a bit skeptical of Swarm hosts in general, but going up against Blinkstalker with 4 really early Colossus, because keep in mind, Hero during all of that, he basically cut gateway units to get all of these tech options up, to get the Forge upgrades, to get the double robotics bay, and then after he had the Colossus fully out was when the Stalker count just ballooned.
Yeah.
But you have that composition against Swarm hosts with a Warp Prism micro on the Colossus and with Blink, the Locust land, you just micro back if there's no follow-up. And then Hero just moves across the map, sustaining no damage, goes for the killing blow, and Su was basically helpless.
Well, we're going to go to Site Delta now for map 2. Su certainly not going to go for that unit comp again. Let's see what he's got as this best of 3 continues on.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now.
Okay, Su in the bottom right. Hero in the top left. You know, it was really fun to see Su try that strategy. I think he was high off of a lot of confidence after that first series, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really like a thought-out build, but I think he just was completely blindsided by not 2 Colossi, but 4.
With a Warp Prism already out as well. I mean, they're just you literally can't kill anything with the composition that Su had.
It's funny because he went Warp Prism before. A lot of games, the Warp Prism always comes out last because you're just trying to build up to having all the pieces. And generally, the Warp Prism you need last. But he went for Warp Prism first to just kind of maximize what could come out of the Robo.
Yeah, that was... I like the sharp getting of the heat
That's
pack.
how you get the heat pack. You got to break up each part of it.
But, no, it was really smart. Build order selection there by Hero. Maybe a little lucky that he ran into Swarm Host, which his build just absolutely dunks on. You know, it's like watching like Shaquille O'Neal try and like dunk on like a high school student with the way those like build orders lined up. But
It was
really
like
smart.
when Biff threw that ball on the roof in Back to the Future.
It was just a smart opening, and I love how you touched on the Warp Prism too, because that was a really fast Robo, really fast second Robo, and Hero got the absolute maximum value out of the robotics facility production time. I think Su was probably taken aback by how quickly those 4 Colossi were on the map, because we had to check in on the unit tab about like a minute or so after Hero had taken his 3rd base. And he just had like the opening Stargate units, the Void Ray and the Oracles, and like 1 Stalker. And that was it. And then he was building Colossi. All of the resources were going into the robotics facilities and the upgrades. And it just culminates in this composition, which, luckily for Hero, completely obliterates what Su was going for.
Yeah.
But even if Su had played a different style, just the opening that Hero went for is a great one to play.
Yeah.
If you're able to avoid the early game pitfalls of aggression, you know, should Zerg go for some kind of really cheesy like Roach Ravager play, that could be dangerous for you. But because nothing like that happened there for Hero, he's just able to build up to this perfect composition for battling in the mid game, especially on Golden Aura. Just good build order selection there from Hero, man. I'm loving what we're seeing, both from Hero and from Su so far today. Su maybe not so much there in the previous game, but his matches against GuMiho seemed really well thought out. And Hero's just bringing a different build every single time. And oh, look at this sneaky Adept.
Look at this Baneling Nest right here in the back. Is he going to scout this?
Oh my god, if he scouts this Baneling Nest.
Oh.
You can see Su almost trying to body block him, man. He does not want Hero.
18 Lings coming.
Uh-huh.
He's going for a quick kill here. Now,
I wonder...
the Adept, I don't think he was really scouting for that.
I wonder if this is a reaction to the way that Hero's been walling so far today in PBZ. He's doing a little bit of a different wall in every single game where he has the pylon there in the front, and then later on he builds the second pylon behind the gateway in the core, but...
Wait.
Oh.
Okay, seeing that. Okay,
he should know. He should absolutely know.
He needs to start just sandbagging the entrance here.
Very
he may
few
want to just send the
drones.
Oracle back. Okay, he knows.
Very few drones at the third base as well. Now, the third base is in production here for Hero, but that's going to get quickly canceled, I would imagine. 38 probes right now to 20 drones. Su already shift-clicked here on the pylon. It gets taken down. Warp Gate did finish. Only one Baneling alive here, and the natural expansion gets a good hit on all of those probes. Oracles now going to be popping their laser beams. Some surface area here. Nice micro with the probes and the Adepts there by Hero, though.
Oh, dude.
Look at this micro.
He could actually plug up the entrance again.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, he can absolutely still hang on here.
The Lings we see on screen are basically all that's on the map. The rest of them are going to be rallied across in a moment right now. Hero might even be able to save this third base. The third Oracle is popped. The natural expansion is getting walled back in. There is a pylon, or not a pylon there. There's a probe blocking it for a moment.
You know, honestly, I think Su just thought he had it and didn't appreciate that there was a little bit more nuance here in the micro. Now, I don't know how much is actually left as far as energy goes on these Oracles, so he doesn't quite have that much sustain. He hasn't plugged this up fully. It's a little bit harder to make sure the Adept closes that entrance there.
Yeah, but I feel like there just might not be enough rallying across the map here for Su. Look at the mini-map. It's just so sporadic.
Yeah, not enough. Okay, 2 Lings being made into Banes here in the main. He's basically rotating the Oracle energy one by one, so there's always damage being output here. The Banes are going to finish.
Yeah, we're soon going to have a 5th Oracle out on the map, too. Now, these Lings are going to get us around here on this Adept, but those Oracles can get tapped. Baneling's coming into the main base. Should be able to get a good number of probes, 5 or 6 at least. 6 do go down, but it's still 32 probes to only 20 drones. Lings are still in production here for Su. And now with 5 Oracles on the map, there's just always going to be energy.
That's it, GG. Hero moves on. 2 very different games. Whatever Su comes up with, Hero shuts it down.
Hero just ran an absolute clinic in PBZ. That was crazy, man. 2-0 over Reynor, 2-0 over Su in convincing fashion every single game.
Why are the games going so fast today? This is crazy.
We're speedrunning it, man.
This has just been such a quick set of one-sided best of 3s. All right, we're going to go to an interview now with Hero, see how he's feeling. He is moving on, getting that 3rd spot here in the round of 8 in Season 2 of Code S GSL. Let's see how he's feeling right now.
김준호 선수 오늘 준비되어 작전
Congratulations, Hero, making on your advancement. You completely defeated your opponent today, and today was a flawless victory for you. How do you feel right now?
이렇게 좀 쉽게 올라갈 줄 전혀
Well, I never thought I would actually make it to the next stage this easily. I thought it was a group of death initially.
힘들 거라고 생각했는데
So I knew it was going to be tough.
운이 좋아서 쉽게
But I think I was pretty lucky in the end to make it easily.
조지명식에서 이제 가장 먼저 여기서 레이너 선수를 좀 골랐잖아요.
During the group nomination, you actually picked Reynor into your group. And then you played against him. And it was a 2-0 victory for you. So I think you kind of like showed how strong current players are.
레이너 선수를 뽑은 건 저그전은 하고 싶었는데.
Well, I actually picked Reynor because I want to play a Zerg player.
다 친하다 보니까 마땅히.
But then again, I'm really close with other Zerg players, so there weren't that many players to pick. So that's why I picked Reynor. And I think I was pretty confident today going up against Reynor, and I was able to show it on stage.
패치는 프로토스가 테란전에 좀 더 할만한 패치였다라고 생각이 드는데.
I mean, the recent patch, it kind of like favors Protoss now in the PvT matchup. So what are your thoughts on that?
테란전도 잘 되는데.
Oh, these days my PvT has been going great.
테란전이 조금 저는 까다롭더라고요.
But in tournaments, it's kind of like the opposite. It's really hard to play against Terran player. So right now, I'm actually favoring against Zerg players right now. So in the first game against Su in Golden Aura,
공허를 먼저 찍었고 그 다음에
you actually went for the Void Ray first.
거신으로 넘어갔거든요.
And then you waiting for the Colossi.
보니까 할가스도 늦고 유가스는 빠르고 바퀴기.
And then you scouted his bases.
확신하고 예상해서 쓴 건가요?
And then were you predicting the tactics and the strategy that he was going to go for?
준비는 안 했고.
No, I didn't really make much preparations. I saw his Overlord away from the base.
이건 두기 잡고 좀 유리하게 스노우볼 굴릴 수 있겠다.
So I was gonna just catch two of them and then snowball my way to the victory. And then I kind of like calculated everything, and then I had this path that I should have opted for, and then I took the advantage. So Reynor and you are 10 years different, 10 years old different. So we never really anticipated that you would gain the flawless victory against him. But how were you able to sustain such good mechanics? Well, my wife is here right now at the venue. She's been treating me really well, so all thanks to her, all props to her. I did see her during the game on camera. It's so good to see you guys. The love, the romance, it's so good to see. So anything else you want to say to your wife before you go?
항상 챙겨줘서 고맙고.
Thank you for taking care of me.
사랑해 이번 시즌.
I love you. I'll try to win this season and try to repay the debt. Once again, congratulations on making it to the next stage, Hero. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Good to have you back here. Guys, short break coming up next. Reynor vs. GuMiho to see who will be eliminated first in Group B.
You said it's done, she can't be the one hell of a run, but you did it for fun. You say that you can, but you won't. Where did you go? Show me down the lonely road. Where did you go? Where did you go? You said it's done, she can't be the one hell of a run, but you did it for fun. You say that you can, but you won't. Where did you go? Show me down the lonely road. Where did you go? Where did you go? Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been nothing but one-sided best of threes. Is that going to change? I hope so. Is Reynor going to win here? I hope so.
What else do you hope for,
Sorry,
Tasteless?
GuMiho. I don't know. I mean, we've been just tearing through these games. I got to say, Hero looking so dominant. He just jetted out of this group.
Yeah, and remember how good Su looked against GuMiho just moments ago, and then Hero just obliterated him the same way that he obliterated Reynor. Reynor actually looking a little bit pensive maybe on stage right now. That was a tough opening match. Now going up against GuMiho, one of the hardest players to prepare against.
You know, this is the thing about GSLs. It's all about the prep, right? It's not just the format. It's the fact that the players are put in a position where they can really deep dive and research each other and try to get these really nuanced approaches to each other. It's what have made the Koreans historically the most dominant force in RTS games. And Reynor, he came out here. He put a lot of time in. He's been streaming a ton to get ready for this moment. He is in the worst position possible right now, as is GuMiho as well. One of these two players is about to be eliminated. The other is going to go up against Su here in the following match. Let's see what happens.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's.
Reynor in the bottom right, GuMiho in the top left. Fighting to stay alive here in Group B.
All about survival right now. Su waiting in the final match of this group.
Both of these players having a really disappointing run so far.
Yeah, by the way, Reynor's keyboard is
What? He plays with one of those?
He plays with one of those, Tasteless.
He plays with what they use to record stuff in court? What is it, a stenographer tool?
Stenographer tool. No, it's one of those, I swear, like the European players, have like the craziest keyboards out of all the people that I know.
I have seen those, and I always snort giggle when I'm at like a keyboard shop.
Mm-hmm.
People are playing with these now?
Yeah, Reynor does. It's one of the ones, if you're not familiar with this, it's like split down the middle. And I think typically those keyboards, they have the middle keys where it's split, both on the left and the right side, so there's some overlap. But it's designed so that you can just position your hands as ergonomically as possible.
Oh, so there is another half of the keyboard.
Yeah, there's the
over
other
there.
half, but because...
In my mind, I'm like, listen, here's how you beat those guys. You just start trash talking them, and they can't respond. They have to only use words they can type out with their left hand.
Well, here the GSL studio is going to pause the game, walk over and slap you, and then get back in his seat. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy keyboard. I remember downstairs, JYP walked past Reynor when he was warming up, and then he came into the makeup room, and he's like, did you guys see the keyboard that he's playing on? What the hell is that?
That's funny because I guess when I've done events not in Korea, I never see the players' keyboards.
Yeah.
You know, they're always on a stage. There's like a separation between where the broadcast happens, like, you know, the event we had last year in Riyadh for Gamers 8, and then where we're actually, the players are playing, excuse me. But yeah, I guess for all the keyboard shots we've had in the history of the GSL, we've not had a keyboard like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique setup, even among the unique setups. Nice micro here by Reynor. This Reaper trying to run around, gets to the high ground. Some more damage done. No drones falling just yet. That one might go down. Spore Crawler barely able to get it. The Queen, can it get? Oh, not enough. 7 HP.
Gonna continue to maneuver around here. Double command center, by the way.
Same build.
For GuMiho. It's funny. GuMiho is known for his range, right? And the fact that he can play these ordinary builds, these textbook builds, but then occasionally mix it up into not just crazy build orders, but crazy unit compositions with him. And this is the third game in a row where he's going for triple command center. It's almost like muscle play. Like you're just trying to, you know, be able to push more and have a better economy. There's not like a specific timing you're necessarily trying to have. You're trying to win with like mechanical ability. He has got to go for the, it looks like the Hellion variation. We'll see how many more Hellions he makes.
Yeah, this is
there
the
are
kind of
builds where you just make 2 in Rome and then you tech out of it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree with you that this is the kind of build that you power up for a long time and then it spikes in terms of power at a much later stage, but the power spike is more significant than it typically otherwise would be. Now, Su, in his game against GuMiho, when GuMiho ran this build against him, was able to get a lot of damage done with counterattacks, so just small groups of lings. 4 to 6 lings coming into the natural expansion, coming into the third base in repeated attacks, while effectively parrying all of the damage that GuMiho was getting done. And okay, now we do finally have a deviation. I think we're going to be seeing Mech Tasteless Armory already going down here for GuMiho.
Okay, so this is actually not going to be that standard build. The Overlord's going to come in here and scout, by the way. Let's see how far he gets in. I think he should be able to see everything. Although I guess actually it's going to be just what he doesn't see what he needs to see here, because the Armory's still in the back.
I like this startup, by the way, with Interference Matrix right there. Cancels it, feigns Cloak. Although I suppose Reynor doesn't exactly know that it is a starport attached. He should have
that's a good point.
idea.
I think that would be the logical conclusion, right?
I mean, Raynor's smart enough he could just decipher this kind of thing. I learned that while casting him, that he just sees the game at a higher level.
He's got map hacks in his brain.
It really is how it feels. 6 Hellions now on the field for GuMiho. I'm wondering if he actually is producing 2 more, and in fact, yes, he is. 2 more factories in production as well. Vehicle weapons, level 1 getting started. Reynor, in the meantime, going for Baneling's Nest of his own. Lair getting started up. 4th hatchery soon to drop. Yep, finally gets planted down there at the 6 o'clock position. And so far, pretty good early game here for Reynor. He's getting his creep spread despite all of these early Hellions assisted by the Reaper from that early game. Roaming across the map. His droning has been on point, hasn't really suffered any losses. He's been able to keep his Overlords alive against this Viking, and it's going to be double Thor? What?
Whoa. Well,
what the hell
I'm
is
glad
this,
that at least
GuMiho?
what we've said about GuMiho from before is going to be true this time. Double Thor with 2 medevacs. So I guess maybe it's like he wants to kind of just plop the Thors in with the middle of the fight and kind of snowball the damage.
Yeah, do you remember in Wings of Liberty when we used to play on maps like, what was it, Lost Temple? Where they had the high ground above the natural expansion and people just Thor drop on
It was
top
a
of
bad
that
map
thing.
at StarCraft 1, and it was a bad map at StarCraft 2.
I just see the medevacs coming out with double Thors. Like, is he just going to drop 2 Thors in one of these bases and just start wreaking havoc and then go for a run by with the Hellions somewhere else? I mean, there was a couple different ways you can maneuver this. Okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. This is fun, man. I love you, GuMiho. Never change.
It's crazy how many different things this guy could do with Terran.
We have 12 Hellions on the field right now. Hellbats, I should say.
Yeah, and so there's going to be there's going to be so much power in this, so much damage being output. It's going to be so hard to wipe the board with this.
What is this? All right, Bailing slowly trickling in, getting some good damage done against these Hellbats on the front line. Most of them getting cleaned up. Now keep in mind, with these Thors, they are doing a lot of damage. The Transfuses eventually will wipe out.
The Hellbats begin to thin out, but the real damage is coming here from the Thors. 1.5 health. A nice counterattack here with the Lings.
Nice counterattack, getting a lot of damage done there at the third base. Hellbats remaining alive, though. Actually, a fair number of them here, as the Thors are slowly whittling away at these Queens on the front line. Nice micro to pull that one back. Overlord is even getting taken out by the Viking as the Spore Crawler and Queen finally cleaned it up, but Reynor, yeah, he did get a lot of counter damage done, but with the trickling in of Lings, I think there might be some more sustain here for this damage by GuMiho. Now, smartly, Reynor is getting a lot of damage done on these medevacs because that is kind of like the second health bar of the Thor in this situation because you always want to keep that alive. Oh, he comes in with a Spore Crawler! The sneaky Spore comes in, gets one of the Hellbats! And then the Queens are able to dive. That means that eventually this should get cleaned up. Does he have enough injects?
2 tanks, what?
I think we're slowly doing the tech switch here for GuMiho. All right, he does clean it up. That Spore Crawler coming in and getting 3 more shots off on the medevac, ensuring that the Thors cannot get away, was super clutch there by Reynor.
Now, is Reynor actually out of the woods yet? I'm not so sure. This is kind of a funny ragtag mech comp. It's like 2 tanks, 2 Thors, Hellions, and Hellbats. But, you know, whenever you have these small squads out like this is a little bit reminiscent of the game where we saw the pushes that were a little bit too small previously. You know, the tanks having nothing to cover here. It just seems like GuMiho keeps overextending. He's not really building up. He just keeps pushing after the fight is lost.
I don't mind this too much, though. These Thors should not get traded out. They should just pick off these Queens, pick off these Ravagers, and then retreat.
The tank's going down here. That's a bad sign because this means the action can seesaw back to the Terran side. A lot of times, Terrans are just totally reliant on siege tanks to kind of hold your ground on your side. Otherwise, you just get pelted with too much damage, especially from Ravagers.
Cyclone Speed now getting research as well, I believe, here by GuMiho, so. Huh. More siege tanks in production, another command center underway. And as it is right now, the game, I think, is going to reach this brief period of quiet. Reynor got a lot of counter damage done there on GuMiho. Took down a fair number of SAVs, but GuMiho with this really fast early 3rd command center and now 4th command center getting planted here with another one underway. It's still sitting happily at 81 workers in total. Reynor filling out his tech tree. No Spore Crawler here, so a little bit annoying for Reynor to deal with this.
Yeah, not bad by GuMiho here.
Oh, there is one.
Yeah, shimmy's over here. So that 4th base at 12 o'clock, that may be the soft spot where Reynor wants to try to counterattack into. Reynor's on 5 bases, looking pretty healthy. We're going to get into a late game here of mech here from GuMiho.
Yeah, very Hellbat-focused late game right now for GuMiho as well, and he's making even more Hellions, so.
And those Hellions are going to have to be used up in a little bit here, the Hellions. I mean, they're fine for now, but, you know, they're kind of in the same league as Roaches or Adepts where they don't have that much utility when you get deep into a game.
Yeah, and actually, I like the way that Reynor is navigating his unit composition here. He's actually going for an Ultralisk Cavern, in addition to a lot more Ling Bailing. Now, this is the kind of army that, paired with Blinding Cloud on a Hellbat-based force, could get a lot of damage done, or even the just abducts coming in on these siege tanks, which are really the pure firepower here for this army.
So he's got a pretty big spread. GuMiho does positionally. But, you know, honestly, Reynor just has to break into one position here. He looks over here. He probably wants to avoid wherever he sees the thick of Hellbats and Thors, right? That's probably going to be the most secure spot. He's going to set up to get some blinding clouds ready. So it's basically a big ring of tanks around the exterior.
Battlecruiser transition potentially in the cards here for GuMiho. 2 more starports and a fusion core get thrown down. And actually, it's going to be the Adduct here on this siege tank. Nice, easy pickoff. Oh, even getting a Thor right there, but it does get lifted back up. Nice micro there on both sides, chipping away at each other's armies. And this is a hard position for Reynor to breach with these siege tanks up on the high ground when this choke.
Another tank is picked off here. He's going to pull in these Thors. He's getting so much value. Big pickups there. To recover that last Thor, it's going to be sent back to be repaired.
I love this little dance that we're seeing between like the Thors getting abducted and then getting lifted back
I know.
up by
The medevac boosts in there and picks it back up. Plucks it out of the group.
It's a fun little mini game you don't get to see too often here in TVZ.
So that starport tech with the add-ons here for battlecruisers is being developed. He'll swap out the supply lost from the tanks that are scooped out, or Thors or whatever else Zerg can get their hands on, and then replace that with battlecruisers. We see Yamato cannon is being upgraded.
Thor does get taken out.
Yeah, or in the wrong neighborhood there. For some reason out on the Zerg side of the map is killed off immediately. And, you know, this is one good way to use the Hellbats here. Again, they're not going to have that much value later on. Doesn't get that many kills either, though. Basically pays for itself, getting the 2 drone kills. And more command centers are being thrown down. Some of these are going to be used for planetaries, others for orbitals that can be sent over to these other expansions. It is becoming, in the more classical Legacy of the Void sense, a TVZ, where we see both sides reaching into the corners of the map.
Yeah, this is the end game that we're kind of hoping for at this point a little bit with how fast all the previous series had went. GuMiho was just fantastic spread of siege tanks arcing across his entire half of the map, throwing down additional command centers, not just for the macro bonus, but also against a composition like the one Reynor is running. Could be very effective at just clogging up choke points and causing issues for the pathing. And 3 more factories in production here for GuMiho as he reaches max supply. And given that he's a meching Terran going into battlecruisers, he's going to really want to secure some additional bases here quickly to get his hands on even more Vespian gas as Reynor once again breaches his position, takes down a couple more units for those of Ducks. And I'm not sure if Reynor has fully caught wind of the battlecruiser transition coming in the pipeline just yet. He hasn't seen him, has he?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if you have to see it to know, right? I think that the tech switch is one of these it's not an inevitability, but it's certainly a high possibility, right?
Yeah, if he hasn't seen it, he does have an idea. 6 disruptors in production right now should help a little bit. Yeah, chasing these BCs down. They're not going to try and push into this position. Bile's going down to that siege tank, able to take it out.
So the battlecruisers are going to cruise through this area at the bottom, start to do a lot of damage onto this hatchery here. And, I mean, for now, there's not a whole lot that can be done here for Reynor. It's basically going to be a kill on the hatch, and it's going to go unpunished. It's not a trade in any sense, just a free kill.
Oh, Hellbat drop at the top right, only going for the hatchery right now. Guys, come on, move down a little bit into that mineral line, and oh, big engagement out here in the middle, actually. Those Thors luckily getting picked up there by those medevacs. That could have been dangerous. These SCVs now going to come in and trade out their lives. GuMiho with all these command centers now finally set up and actually transition from a more heavily SCV-based economy into a mule-based one, and a little bit of a scrappy engagement here. Loses 1 battlecruiser. There's just so much action happening here on the map. This BC on very low HP as well.
It does seem like positionally GuMiho can kind of stay fortified and be safe and just keep punishing these bases on the edge.
I just saw 14 infestors in production, Tasteless.
Oh, wow.
I think Reynor might be going for mass neural.
Yeah,
14 infestors is a ludicrous number of infestors.
Well, this means that it's going to come down to his execution in one big fight. He's going to have to try to snag every unit he can and then trade out perfectly. But it's a smart way to play it.
Yeah, especially against this composition that GuMiho is going for. I mean, he does have a good number of Hellions and Hellbats on the field, but besides that, his comp, you know, disregarding the 5 siege tanks, it is Thor, battle cruiser. Those are some pretty high value targets for neural parasite, am I right? So
yeah, well, I mean, it's nothing but big clunky units, right? That do high damage. So, he's gonna run by here.
Yeah, run by, gonna get a couple more drones. I think those double scans might have actually spotted the infestors as well. I'm not sure.
It does seem like this is an attack. You've got to spring on them, right?
Yeah,
the more ready they are, the more they will just disengage.
I think GuMiho knows. He's starting Raven production now. He does not want to get caught off guard.
Smart move. Well, I mean, this hatchery at the top right has been picked off. It's hard for Reynor to get out of his quadrant of the map. We can see tanks getting sent out here. He needs the supply rotated into something more efficient. He's going to send SCVs out on the map here as well.
Really a crazy army composition that GuMiho is running. I know it's mech, but just the number of Thors and BCs on the map at this moment. The BCs basically take up the entire screen. Is it like 8 or 9 battle cruisers just roaming around the map denying bases?
It's funny because just the fact that they have to stretch out on either side to expand means it's not too far for Terran to go anywhere to take that out. Now, we just saw that the top center base is going to mine out, which means there's not actually that much more for resources for Terran here either.
And he's content, or has been up until this point, just to kind of sit down and make sure that him and Reynor are staying on the same bases, because as the meching Terran, you do not want to overextend, because that is oftentimes how the dominoes start falling, where one side of your defense collapses and then you have to overcompensate, you become weaker on the other side, and then it snowballs from there. So GuMiho actually been playing this very patiently, very slowly, but now at last, as he works his way down to a 51 SCV count, has amassed really one of the strongest possible armies you can make in StarCraft 2, and that's not even the final form. You have 5 more Thors rallying in to join them.
So we got to watch this attack. Like, when this fight happens, it's going to be pivotal. There are almost no more resources for GuMiho. That's how quickly he's just consumed most of the map. Reynor should be uncomfortable as well. The thing is, he has enough that he can keep replanting hatcheries and harvesting the resources there. This base at the top right is the most important location on the map.
GuMiho expanding now into the top right. The store will get picked off by the Lings. Left to its lonesome, and a couple of Brood Lords actually in production there. And God, I wish we had a shot of how many mules just landed on that mineral line. Okay, 14 mules in total on the board. You can see why GuMiho has been so willing to go down to a worker count almost sub 50 as he's sending even more SCVs out at this moment. I mean, that is
just crazy.
3,600 minerals a minute for a moment there.
Okay, he's got like a pretty good place to launch attacks from with those spores over there. The battle cruisers are going to move through the bottom. I don't know if Zerg wants to go back and defend this or then just try to attack at the very top right, because there's going to be a unit imbalance and basically sack this base down here. We're not showing it on camera, but there's an attack in the north that's super important. Here we go. That's hitting right over here, and it's going to take this out.
Oh, and GuMiho almost going for a base trade. He's just navigating his way down south.
Okay, so the question is going to be, like, first of all, the battle cruisers can get out if they get cornered, but it's the infestors and the Thors that we got to watch for.
Yeah, the infestors, they're getting really close. Oh man, what a clutch scan right there by GuMiho.
Yeah, that was so good.
That's a situation where you don't drop that scan, you might just outright lose the game.
100%.
Imagining all these BCs just getting knurled and then Yamatoing each other could be chaos with a corruptor count as high as it is. 16 corruptors in total on the field.
Okay, so 12 o'clock basically gone. 9 o'clock basically gone as far as resources go.
27 SCVs for GuMiho.
Yeah. He has the bare minimum, which means his army size is insane. It's at 169.
169 army supply of basically Thor battle cruisers.
Look at this. 1 burrowed Zergling blocking the bottom left base. So Reynor knows he has to do this engagement perfectly. I've seen him do this a couple times. He's actually specifically really good at this stuff, where he has a bunch of infestors and he has to chain together a bunch of neural parasites and then target stuff down.
Spellcaster micro is some of the best in the world. I think him and Reynor are absolutely...
Yeah.
Him, Reynor, and Dark are the 3 best Zergs in the world.
Yeah.
Microing an army which is surprisingly clumsy to micro. It is very difficult with all these spellcasters where you need to pop off the abducts, you need to get the neural parasites off very quickly. Otherwise, I mean, you have no staying power, right? You have to make the abilities work. And GuMiho's been showing a lot of respect up until this point as a result of that, just proactively scanning all across the map. Oh, yo, be careful with those broods!
Where are the infestors? Okay, they're down there. He's gonna come in, he scans, he sees it. That might not matter though. The tanks are in siege mode, there's nothing to actually
Oh my, oh, the BCs are coming in on top of everything. Armor shredding missile gets dropped down. Bungles are coming down, neural parasites are popping, but it might not be enough. The battlecruisers are focusing down the infestors here on the front line.
He's got at least half.
Both players' supplies plummeting right now. Blinding Cloud on the Thors and the siege tanks, but it's not enough. The BCs were enough, teleporting on top. And now Reynor is remaxing on 11 Ultralisks. He's trying to abduct these battlecruisers to thin the amount out. A relatively even trade. Both players scrambling to remax. GuMiho opting to go into Cyclones because he knows they will get across the map very quickly here.
I mean, this is crazy. I don't know that Reynor can recover from here. He basically, look, he's spent all of his minerals. He has to win the next couple of fights. He does thin out the Thors.
I think
he can get another one if he runs up here in time and snags us. He's going to take the tank out here. The BCs are not high enough in numbers to survive the Corruptors.
Yeah, and TP's off cooldown, so the Corruptors fly over, able to pick off a good number of them.
Cyclones, of course. Oh, but mass Ultras.
Ultras coming in right now.
What's on screen, everybody?
Ultras coming in right now. They're getting a surround on all of the Thors. The Thors will get taken out. The BCs, they don't have a lot of support behind them, but now the Ultras, they're working their way into the Cyclones.
But can the Cyclones just kite this?
I think they can.
Yeah, they can just play keep away. I think Reynor dies here.
Oh my god. Look at this remax from GuMiho. It's massive. Reynor's now down at 80 supply. He's making 6 more infestors, but there's barely anything left.
Yeah, he can't. He might have to tap out. I guess he's still mining from the bottom. Oh, no, never mind. GG. GG.
What an insane final game. That was absurd. That last engagement was so hard to tell exactly who was going to come out on top. GuMiho.
That was crazy.
With one of the most ballsy plays, scanning, seeing all the infestors, and deciding he's going to teleport every single battle cruiser on top of them, Tasteless.
It's so interesting because I don't know if that's the right move or not. Like, I don't know if that gives Reynor an opportunity to chain the neural parasites the way he wants, or if maybe the damage output with a scan is going to kill off enough of the infestors that it kind of interrupts the chaining of those abilities together that makes you win the fight.
That's hard to say. It could be the kind of thing where it's just like, you can do this if you play perfectly, but it is so hard to play this perfectly. Can you do it? Let's find out. And GuMiho just tests him there.
That was wild. Guys, Reynor, if he loses one more game, he will be eliminated from the GSL. The Foreigner Hope needs to come back right here, right now. GuMiho with, again, an approach of his own here. Hellbat, Thor push in the mid-game into turtled up battlecruisers for the win.
Reynor looking stressed. Let's see if he can pull it back here, down 1-0 against GuMiho, fighting for his tournament life on Site Delta.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's.
Okay, in the top left, Reynor, who needs to turn this around. GuMiho in the bottom right. I gotta say, it's, you know, all the hype of Reynor being in this tournament, and look, he's not dead yet. We're going to find out in this game if he could start that comeback, but I got to say, it is a reminder of how good the Koreans are at this kind of tournament format.
Yeah, GSL is different from basically every tournament in the entire world with how much preparation can potentially go into every single match, and guys like GuMiho have been doing this from the very beginning. Guys like here have been doing this for nearly a decade, where you just line up your opponents and you try to dissect their play. You do your research, you find their weaknesses. These are the kind of guys that will also play against you on the ladder and basically just keep mental notes about, all right, this is how I kill you,
right,
in GSL.
Here
you have
your
this
flaws.
Achilles heel.
Yeah, or, you know, the ticks you have in your play.
It's very different from a weekend tournament format where you can't really dedicate that kind of attention to your opponents unless you know them so well. And even if you do, then you're still kind of playing it by ear because you have to run basically a gauntlet on any individual day. But here in the GSL, as opposed to a weekend tournament, it's not like, you know, say an ESL event which takes 3 days and you have to focus on preparing yourself and your play style.
Right.
GSL is about identifying your opponent and just dismantling them in the best way you can figure it out.
Very well said, yeah.
It's one of the reasons why, I mean, this is the tournament that got me interested in StarCraft 2 in the first place. In 2010, I remember being a little kid, fresh out of high school, watching you and Dan cast GSL and being so captivated by the storylines, by the preparation, by just the prestige.
It's good TV. It's a good drama, to be honest. Like, I remember just watching in StarCraft 1, you know, and watching these players prep, and you get to follow every part of the tournament. But, you know, it definitely is a system where you're rewarded for research and preparation in a way that it can't compare to other tournaments.
And I feel like that's one of the issues that foreign players have when they come and compete in GSL, because it's not that they're incapable of doing this, it's just that you're this specific tournament format where you have to prepare not yourself so much, but for your opponent more than anything.
I guess it's both, right? I mean, it's like your condition has to be good, but it's not like, well, am I good enough that I can basically hang with anybody? It's like, actually, you have just 3 opponents possible.
Yeah.
And you might play one of them twice. So deal with that, and you know, and by the way, there's going to be weeks of prep in there.
And it's hard if you don't have the years of experience that these guys do in that kind of format where you just know exactly how to prepare and what works for you individually, right?
But hey, man, I mean, you know, Reynor's still got a shot here now.
I would love to see him fight this one back.
It is funny that GuMiho played so vanilla in the first TVZs we had here with him versus Sue, and got wrecked, to be totally honest, and then brought out that crazy GuMiho mech style here versus Reynor, and looked so good. In this game, it is Banshee with Cloak, and there's no third command center, unless I'm missing something. No third CC. So certainly a different approach.
The first time that GuMiho has really deviated from the fast third CC into 1-1-1 setup that he's gone for, but once again, he will be going for the really quick armory. Might be seeing mech again here from GuMiho.
And so it's going to be a different type of mech here instead of the quick third base here and trying to turtle up from there. Hellions roaming around. Let's not forget, you know, the memory of those. Oh, wow, he's going to get a Raven right away here.
Yeah, it's Banshee into Raven with Cloak. Kind of an interesting setup. I wonder what the game plan is with this. Huh. Usually don't see a Raven mixed in this early.
No, not at all. That's very different, actually. He's going to come in and he's going for these. Whoa, what? Okay, so he went right in there, did damage to those queens, then morphed into Hellbats. He's got the Banshee here.
Oh, man. That's some big damage. Rage is an overseer right now to spot this Banshee, so it's just wailing on these queens. The Hellbats clean up all the Zerglings. Hold on a second, Tasteless.
Oh, my God. How far is this going to go? The Hellbats, some of them are pretty bruised. The drones are going to be in the back. It looks like the Hellbats want to try to force their way up the ramp. The Banshee's still doing tons of damage.
Yeah, the queens, it's some really nice stutter step micro right now from Reynor, but there still is no answer. The lair is only halfway done. The Cloak Banshee hasn't run into his Spore Crawler yet.
Oh my God, there's so many queens killed here.
Yeah, but I mean, the micro from Reynor has been really on point so far. This has been a tough hold. A lot of queens going down. Spore Crawler here is stationed at the third base, but GuMiho just barely able to find the angle where he can deny that mineral line. Command center going down on the low ground here. Oh, that was a scary moment there for Reynor.
I mean, that was a lot of queens that were beaten up there.
He
never really got to the drones.
No, only got a few of them, but still the damage that he sustained.
Watch, this Hellbat's going to turn into a Baneling.
He's going to sit there until Blue Flame's done and then walk into the mineral line.
Oh,
no, you revealed yourself.
Yeah, he tried to hide it even more.
They walk kind of funny, don't they?
Yeah,
I never really noticed
that.
They
kind of walk like they're on high heels or something.
Yeah, they do. It's like they're wearing little cycling shoes.
Yeah.
It's me every weekend
they've
trying
got
to walk
ice
around
skates
the Hong
on,
Kong.
but there's no ice on the map. So.
All right, more Hellbats coming in here on the right side, but I think Reynor's, he's gotten pretty wise about all this. His defense has been on point thus far. It was a bit of a hiccup in the early game, and oh, this is what the Raven's for. Okay, it's for just clearing creep. I like this move.
I thought it was like for an auto turret later or something like that. After the drones were damaged, but I guess this makes sense. You can bank up all your what would have been scans and use them for mules instead.
Yeah, I was kind of scratching my head about that. I was thinking maybe you reactor out like 2 Cyclones and then you do the Hellbat push with the Cyclones and armor shredding missile or something on the Queens, but no, it makes a lot more sense to go just for the denial there after a little bit of a timing push. And actually we have 2 speed overlords morphing into drop overlords right now. Reynor is getting ready to levy some pressure of his own. He's only on 59 drones.
And he might go for a big counterplay over here. He's got Queens in the overlords. He may send these across the map. He's going to have to deal with this initial attack here first, but this is basically going to be...
Oh, he spots him.
Okay, yeah. He sees at least one, but he should know there's another one in there.
And this is the kind of push that has the potential to get a lot of damage done.
Okay, he's throwing out auto turrets to create interference so that it's hard to travel and meet the rest of the Queens over here now. He's going to drop.
Oh, he's dropping the Queens regardless. The Cyclones gets to transfuse the Overlords to keep him alive right now. Banshee's focusing down Ravagers in the middle of the map. The Hellions are getting some good damage done here on the Lings, or they were until they got surrounded.
Ooh.
And Reynor is stabilized in the middle right here with these Queens. They did lose a lot of energy, but the third base has to get evacuated now. And the reinforcements streaming across the map.
Can he get this actually into the natural? The depots are grounded right now. He's got a lot of Lings, so many Queens here. The Banshees are a headache. He doesn't have an Overseer here to spot.
He does all the way on the left side. He's just being very timid with it because it's so low on HP right now in this moment.
An Aspire tech coming in here.
Aspire coming in. 7 Cyclones being produced at a time right now here for GuMiho.
Oh, he's going to drop the main here. He's got Lings ready to go in there and kill the SCVs in the worker line.
Oh, this is a dangerous position here for Reynor, though.
The Banshees are going across the map.
Speed Banshees. What?
Yeah, this is a crazy game, dude.
Banshees coming now into the third base. Should be able to pick off both these Queens that escape out.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job of keeping these Banshees alive.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. An overextension there. Only 2 Banshees left. What happened to that drop? We're still not getting a shot of this. I think the main is getting torn apart.
Yeah, the Lings have dropped in the main base. SCV is only just now falling. GuMiho repositioning into the third. The linear third here at the 3 o'clock position is eventually these Banshees will get cleaned up. Oh man, they're so quick. One of them able to get away. And Raynor's been baking a lot of gas.
He's going to have a lot of mutas in a second here. And I don't know if the Terran's psychologically ready for this. I mean, Cyclones could be fine at dealing with this.
It's hard to say. I'm not super familiar with Cyclone after the second patch of the Cyclone, how that really fares the battle
and what this looks like.
Yeah, I don't have a really good gauge for the strength of this unit, but this composition's looking pretty good here for GuMiho. Unless Raynor's able to get this around and stop this army in its tracks. I mean, that's so many Hellbats, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's no way to really kind of surround it and just kind of force it down, right? He's going to keep using... Oh, gosh, I don't know if the mutas can actually help the way... Well, hold on a second. He's going to come in here from behind with these Lings. There's not that many Hellbats left here.
That's a pretty good Lings around. Weren't able to kill enough Cyclones, but did get a lot of damage done on them. They are badly bruised.
The mutas are going in here for a counterattack here, so they're actually making a beeline to the main.
Yeah, that's a smart move, I think. They really don't do that well in this head-on engagement against these Cyclones. The Roach Ravagers should be able to stabilize, but at the same time, Reynor is bleeding out a lot of Queens, a lot of Roaches.
I mean, the Cyclones are getting smaller in numbers here. Oh, some Queens overextend here. He drops 2.
I mean, this game is completely hectic. GuMiho right now down to 40 SCVs as the mutas clean up a good number of workers in the main base of Terran. And GuMiho's army at this stage is basically pure Cyclone. He's got 17 Cyclones on the map, producing them 5 at a time, trying to trickle in a couple of Hellions, a couple of Banshees to assist.
He's killed 14 SCVs. He's going for more over here at the natural. A lot of damaged SCVs over at this base. Keep in mind the Cyclones, they might be able to defend the mutas, but they can't reinforce the attack. So Reynor seems to stabilize here.
Yeah, and the composition that GuMiho's running is quite mineral intensive too. And you know, it's only a couple hundred minerals to throw down the missile turrets, but at this stage of the game, with this game as chaotic as it has been, that feels very expensive. GuMiho just wants to keep pumping all these Cyclones out so that he can stay alive, and maybe he will be able to.
He's got to be careful getting this deep into this, because the Cyclones are probably the best unit for kiting, getting away, getting back in and out.
But they're so bruised, Tasteless. These low HP Cyclones in the front just getting whittled away at. Oh, that was some clutch bile too.
Ooh, he's gonna come near from the side.
Oh, I think Reynor might have just barely done it. Ling's even coming in on the south side, sandwiching the Cyclones a little bit here as the Ravagers stutter step forward.
I mean, there's just barely enough Cyclones that this is a moment where GuMiho will survive, at least for now. Worker count is, what, it's about a little bit over 10 here in the lead for Reynor. Reynor on 4 bases to GuMiho's 3.
Although GuMiho does have a 4th command center in the main base, so he should be able to rebuild those SCVs really quickly. And man, what a crazy game. We have another drop overlord in production here.
Plenty more mules here landing. For a second, it almost looked like the game was about to end. It almost looked like Reynor just had enough.
It was very close. One of the benefits of Cyclone Mech, though, is how quickly it's able to re-max. The reinforcements, not only do they move quickly, but they train quickly out of those reactor factories. And GuMiho, for the first time in a long time, actually getting a little bit of a mineral bank, and I think it's him kind of deciding, almost like a Zerg, what units he really wants to make of the situation. As there was some idle time there on his factories for a moment, eventually he settles on building a couple of siege tanks, a couple of Hellions to assist the Cyclones here on the ground. Is I think for GuMiho from this stage, I mean, you're already at +2 ground weapons for your siege tanks, for your mech. I think you kind of want to quiet the game down and stabilize, whereas Reynor really wants to get aggressive.
Okay, he's got some muscle here. He's going to at least deny that 4th base. Not going to overextend his Reynor here. He backs up. That Banshee's back, man. Without Queens here, I mean, it can take out so many Ravagers before he can get back to safety.
Yeah, at least 2 of them are going to fall. Tunneling Claws now in production, as well as a Hive here for Reynor.
Immediately, GuMiho lands that 4th command center there. He's got SCVs being transferred. No, sorry, those are Hellbats, but there will be SCVs transferred there in a little bit. And who knows? I mean, maybe this game just slows down.
It might. I feel like we're reaching a stage where it's hard for either player to really kill the other guy. We were kind of teetering on a knife's edge for a couple of minutes there with so much damage getting dished out on both sides of the map, but now with GuMiho getting closer and closer to +3 siege tanks anchoring these positions, it's going to be hard to breach for Reynor until he really gets those high-tech units out, such as the Vipers.
So with the Queens advancing up, he's got to be a little bit more careful with the Banshees. Siege tanks being spread out like this means maybe he can hold any position. There's going to be a small counterattack with these 2 Banshees over here. What looks like it's going to be at the 9 o'clock base.
Only a Spore Crawler, so these Banshees should be able to get the drones on the side. Actually going for the Spine Crawler there is.
Yeah, a little bit of poorly handled there by GuMiho. Nice pinning here.
Yeah, that's a good catch. It's a lot of Cyclones going down. I mean, normally as a meching Terran in this kind of situation, I don't think you would mind losing Cyclones too much, but the fact that GuMiho isn't really close to max means that he wants to retain any supply he can until he can remax on something more effective. So that hurts.
Well, we got another big attack coming here. A lot of SCVs are going to be taken out. But at the same time, there's just barely enough.
And the thing is that GuMiho is a little bit slow reinforcing, so in total, 16 SCVs are going to fall.
It felt like Reynor was ready to like hit a bunch of spots and kind of throw the Terran off, but it's like the spread was very neat. There was nothing that could really be done. He's going to remax out again. GuMiho's actually now going to match Reynor on base. He's taking the bottom base.
But he's only on 56 SCVs, Tasteless. He's sustained so much economic damage just over and over again. You're going to have to lift up here once more right before that Planetary gets to morph. And Reynor right now is going for a Greater Spire, so it almost seems like his game plan, because he's been able to do so much economic damage to GuMiho, is potentially just a Broodlord switch here, because for a poor meching Terran, Broodlords can be really hard to deal with. I mean, you think about the anti-air that you need. So
One lone
funny.
Mutalisk.
Look at how much damage it's getting done too. 7 SCVs in total going down.
Nice surround over here. It's funny, you could really see how easily Terran can defend. If they just have enough Cyclones, they can kind of slide around to wherever.
The issue is really just the timing, though. I mean, they are quick, but Reynor keeps finding these opportunities where he can come in with Roaches and Ravagers and Lings, or even one Mutalisk into a Bruised Mineral line and just get damage done before GuMiho can get back there to defend, because Reynor is attacking somewhere else with something else.
Right.
He's just creating so many problems. And as a result of it, GuMiho, he's still at the 17-minute mark, not maxed yet, only on 63 workers. There's potential here for Reynor with the bank that he has and the free supply that he has, that he makes a couple of broods and there just isn't really an anti-air answer.
Yeah.
For GuMiho.
He has the ability to do like a supply reset as well. So those 9 Corruptors have started. And, I mean, from here we got to see, can he kind of loosen up one of these spots? It's hard with the number of Cyclones that are out. It's going to be hard for Terran to ever really attack across the map for the time being. I think if Zerg tries to attack in, or sorry, Terran tries to attack in any of these moments, it's not going to be that effective.
Especially with the creep threat being as strong as it is. Because
like, he could probably take more and more and more of the map here.
As soon as GuMiho with BattleMech walks onto creep, he's in big trouble, because the whole thing with BattleMech is you need to be able to kite with it, right?
Right.
Unless you're doing some really cheeky early all-in. It's not much of a fighting composition. It's more of a kiting composition where you slowly do damage to the opponent's army and they can't do as much damage back to you. But with the creep threat being what it is, the risk of getting surrounded here for GuMiho is very high.
Okay, so the Broodlords are out. Yeah. This is kind of the moment we've been waiting for. And he wants to try to push into one of these positions here. His scan comes down. He sees what's coming. He's making 2 Thors.
Thor production has started. So right now is Reynor's window before the anti-air really arrives here for the meching Terran. I feel like there's this, the window is large here for Reynor, in my opinion. I think there's a big opportunity to get a ton of damage done. And GuMiho recognizes he's actually going for a base trade. Look at this. BattleMech on the north side and on the west side, about to hit the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock positions on the map. So Reynor's going to have to scramble back with pretty much all of his ground forces. The Broodlord's going to siege down the 3 o'clock position. No, the Broods are actually coming back. They're coming back in this moment.
Can't be it.
The 12 o'clock hatchery goes down. The 9 o'clock hatchery is also going to fall. GuMiho just somehow with his BattleMech is forcing Reynor to go all the way back home. This is going to buy GuMiho the time back at home.
Well, I feel like this is all GuMiho needs to win here. You know, the Cyclones can kind of behave like Zerglings. You know, they can like run around and just keep counterattacking, and the Broodlords will never catch up to them. I was so confident that Reynor was going to like push into the top right base and then collapse towards maybe the main.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I mean, he could still win this game, but it's gotten very, very weird. Reynor's in a much more flimsy spot economically now.
Reynor is down to 47 drones. He just lost 2 hatcheries. These Cyclones are even going to come into the natural expansion here and potentially snipe some key economic structures.
Can he trap him
Oh
here?
my god, he armor shredded the Overlords to perma supply block Reynor. Look at all these Overlords going down right now, all the way down to 170 supply. Reynor cannot get past 200, although he doesn't even have the money to do it. These Cyclones are getting so much value in the main base of Reynor. At the same time, GuMiho now attacking the only full mineral base here on this side of the map.
I don't think that Reynor can recover from this.
This seems like it might just be game-ending damage.
These
Cyclones,
Broodlords are never going to get across the map into anywhere that matters.
Even the Greater Spire is at risk right here, although I don't think there is enough time for the Cyclones to actually focus that down. Reynor is at 144 out of 126. He has to make so many more Overlords that he just doesn't have the mineral income.
Yeah, and it's not like he's got, you know, a vast amount of the map where that income's going to come in where he can do it easily. Very rarely in a StarCraft 2 late game situation do we see a mass Overlord kill kind of close the game out.
Yeah, that's one of the most rare occurrences, I feel like, in a late game StarCraft 2 match. Eventually these Overlords, or the Broodlords, excuse me, are going to clean up those Cyclones, but 124 out of 120 supply here for Reynor. As GuMiho...
See Reynor rubbing his hand through his hair.
Yeah,
I think he knows it's hard to imagine a situation where he can recover from this. Terran's got just too much of the map now. And the Broodlords, they take so long to travel down to these positions.
I mean, that Hail Mary play from GuMiho to go to the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position with no hesitation. The moment he sees the Broods, he just booked it on both sides of the map, and he eviscerates the economy of his opponent. I was right there with you. I was thinking Raiders could be able to push across the map, corral the BattleMech, and deliver a game-ending blow, but instead, just the mobility here, especially on a map like Side Delta, with so many different avenues that the army can maneuver across. I mean, Reynor just keeps taking his hands off the keyboard. This is such a...
Well, I think part of this is just processing what's happened. You know, he's stuck back here. He's got the Broodlords. But Terran has too much at the bottom. Look at the very, very bottom left corner.
I mean, the Broods at this stage...
You know, this is one thing about Broodlords is, like, when you make them, there is you're kind of stuck with them, right? And if they get put in a position where they're not getting any value, that's kind of all that it takes.
We'll see these Fungals come in. They're very good Fungals right there on the Cyclones. Even chaining the Fungals right now as Reynor is trying to get every value he possibly can out of this small army he's got. I mean, it's basically pure Broodlord, Infestor, Infestor. Ravager's now coming in to reinforce. But GuMiho's economy is just overpowering in this moment. Look at the bank.
Reynor's just cornered here. You know, and all GuMiho has to do is keep growing, which is exactly what he's doing. He's taken now the entire top right side of the map. We're watching the minerals go up for Reynor.
To try and afford a new hatchery.
Yeah, just so slowly.
Not the SCVs, not like this.
Not like this, man. What a bummer. Another season where a foreigner does not go deep in a GSL.
It breaks your heart too. Reynor played a great game.
Yeah.
Just that move out from GuMiho was so clutch. That was the perfect read on the situation.
It's funny because it was like the Cyclones were so good at defending that I could see that he thought, okay, Broodlords, we're going to have to break this open. We're going to have to force a fight. And that was immediately when GuMiho just went in like 2 different directions and started counterattacking.
It was like literally the moment he saw the Broodlords as he started setting up for the base trade of all base trades right there.
And you could see it illustrated right here. Like, you could just avoid engaging directly with him. Now, he's going to go for one big Hail Mary play here.
Yeah, this is the win condition here
this
for
is
Reynor.
it.
126 army supply. He's pulling all the 2 queens, 9 infestors. And besides that, it's mostly just the broods.
There is a small chance this works, but it's hard to imagine it working.
GuMiho back at home with additional starports and a fusion core means that eventually a battlecruiser transition is going to come in, and GuMiho again recognizing the situation. He's just going for the base
counter.
trade.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
What do you do here as Reynor? There isn't really an answer. He has to move back home.
Yeah, he takes his hand off the keyboard again, rubs his head. Because GuMiho's just not going to let him take that fight. He just goes, no, you know what? The lose conditions are you lose your buildings.
This is one of the most GuMiho wins of all GuMiho wins.
Yeah, it's super smart. So there is a push into the bottom right. The Broodlords are going to pick off these buildings. But there's just too much map. Too much of the map here for GuMiho.
I feel like even in the best case scenario
Where's
here
the last
Reynor,
building? It's going to be this extractor over here. He's going to try to do some neural parasites.
I mean, this is great. Violator on the Thor as well. He's doing the best he possibly can. The battlecruisers
Once
are just
the
waiting
battlecruiser's
in the
around, I
wings.
think that's it. He doesn't have corruptors, right?
He had a small number. I don't know how many of them are still alive, but this is.
Oh boy.
He has an extractor.
Yeah. Well, this is where our story ends, guys, for Reynor. GG, that's it. GuMiho going to go to that final match versus Sue.
And my heart breaks for Reynor. I mean, he came all the way out to Korea. He's been training, adjusting, grinding the ladder. I think he even hit, what, top 3 on the Korean ladder, but to come in like
Top
this.
2, yeah.
It's just such a brutal matchup against a player who is one of the best in the world at doing exactly that. Just having a quirky play style with mech where GuMiho really just busted out every ace up his sleeve. All the tricks that he had in store, he brought to the table here against Reynor.
I got to say, man, I learned a lot watching GuMiho play back there. Like the fact that he knew to just turtle, and force the Broodlords, and then the moment the Broodlords come in, he just whips across the map. We're going to be going to... No, we don't go to interview yet. What am I saying? Guys, we're going to go to the final best of 3. Don't go away. Sue versus GuMiho to close out the evening. We'll be right back.
This handle all these changes coming like invasions. Yeah. Look at all these faces. I guess we just contagious. Tell my mom we made it. We made it. Look at all these places. Look at all these stages. Raising up these wages. Yeah. This one is for the ages. All for the taking. History in the making.
Yeah, you know we on our way. Know that big we're monumental. Go ahead and save the day. Cause the come gonna come true. History. No mystery, we're the ones making it. It's our shot, we're taking it today.
I'm losing all my patience. Don't you try and play this. Give up all these praises. Come on. To the rock of ages. That is what my faith in. Rest up like a day's in. Yeah, you must have been mistaken. We ready for the break-in. Leave them all shaking. Yeah. And this is more than amazing. I'ma just embrace it. History in the making.
Yeah, you know we on our way. Know that big we're monumental. Go ahead and save the day. Cause the come gonna come true. History. No mystery, we're the ones making it. It's our shot, we're taking it today. Taking it today. This is our shot, this is my shot, this is your shot to take. This is our shot, this is my shot, this is your.
저희 1화 본편 나오고 처음 촬영이잖아요. 대박 나는 의미에서
네.
저희가 로또를 준비해봤습니다. 진짜 로또.
이거. 이걸 가져왔어. 대박 나자! 너 로또 되면 안 오겠다?
안녕. 저희 1화 본편 나오고 처음 촬영이잖아요, 지금.
네.
대박 나는 의미에서
네.
저희가 로또를 준비해봤습니다.
진짜로?
나 정했어요. 이거.
이거 만약에 당첨되면 어떡해? 반띵 안 해요? 다 내 거예요? 진짜로?
나눠야 되나요?
아니, 나머지. 한장 뽑아주세요.
이걸 뽑고 싶은데 난 똥손이니까
이걸 가져가겠어.
대박 나자!
받았는데 1등 되면 말고.
벌써 느낌이 좋아. 우와, 내 손을 떠달라 그러자. 너무 좋은 거니까. 나는 소박해. 우리 동네 진짜 닭강정 맛집을 찾았어요. 대짜로 한 일주일 내내 먹고 싶어요.
일단 집을 한 채 좀 사고 저축 좀 하고 가족들 좀 주고 얼마나 좋을까요? 감사합니다. 너 로또 되면 안 오겠다?
Give me some room. You about to kill my vibe. People People saying I'm a beast. Don't wake the monster inside. You don't want that whole place, gonna throw a ride. I can tell from the look in your eyes, you don't really want the fire. I see through the smoke, cold bring the pain. I'm like a phoenix, I rise from the flame. When you lost everything, what is the game? I'm like a juggernaut in my own lane. This is just my state of mind, I'm coming to finish. If it's me against the whole world, then I'm coming out winning. Just when you thought I was finished, we came back with a rage inside like an Avenger. Celebration, go and gather round, cause I'm ready for dinner. I'm about to have a feast, no second place, I'll be the winner. Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's go. Face when I'm down, I've been laughed at with a frown. Felt like I was gonna drown, picked on like a clown. Wanted to give this up too many times. Question myself like where are the signs? That's when I realized what's inside me. You don't want none, come and try me. Ain't you far to turn it around? Tell the opposition it's going down. Pedal to the floor, never slowing down. Keep on climbing till we touch the sky now. Put my shades on, let the top down. Tiger on the loose, yeah, it's going down. I came here to finish. If it's me against the world, then I'm winning. Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. You gotta be the best. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Just one more best of 3 to go here for Group B. Sadly, if you're watching this stream in this language, you know that Reynor is out. Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah.
Up next is going to be the rematch of Su versus GuMiho. Most of this group has been really fast, minus Reynor's slow death with the 0-2. Su versus GuMiho did look really different. Su looked like in really, really good shape. Had basically no issues against what GuMiho did. GuMiho did play kind of different from what we expected. GuMiho played a lot more like a textbook Terran here. I don't know if he's going to try to do that again. I imagine he won't, right?
I think he goes back into the mech the way that he was playing against Reynor, because that just seems to be playing a lot better for him today than the opening builds that he did. And I don't think it would be even that difficult of an adjustment, because you think back to the first 2 games he played against Su, he did the same build in game 1 against Reynor there. And just a little bit of a deviation, throwing down the armory, going into the mech units, and GuMiho becomes Gumi God, the same way that he did against Reynor. And his mech is looking scary, as scary as ever. I mean, that game 2 against Reynor, I was thinking that he was potentially dead at a couple different moments, but he just barely knows how to walk the line and survive.
He's definitely going to be riding the high from that victory in the last game. I mean, that was a really cool way to end it out. But, you know, the reality is now he has to go up against Su, who already crushed him once.
That's right.
Su doing some really good control play. Really seemed to, like, understand GuMiho better than anybody's understood anyone in this group so far. So GuMiho has to really reinvent his play style, take whatever he could learn from that 0-2 that he had versus Su now and try to recreate a better, well, I guess the best possible version of himself he can have here. Because one of these 2 players is about to be eliminated.
Yeah, Su looked really good in that first series, too. He was not afraid to go a little bit off textbook with some early aggression there in game number 1 against GuMiho. And so GuMiho has to keep that in the back of his mind. He's been pretty greeny today overall. Some really fast third command centers, some really rapid expansions. And Su does not seem like the kind of player today in this matchup to let that go unpunished.
Yeah, well, Su is definitely in better form. He's also modified his play quite a bit. So the question is going to be, you know, what kind of play style is GuMiho, going to have here? It looks like we're ready. We're going to start this out on Site Delta. Remember, the winner goes on and the loser's out. Okay, in the top left is Su, and the bottom right is GuMiho.
Wondering if GuMiho is going to go for the same skeletal structure of a build that he did pretty much every other TVZ so far today, because, you know, we talk about how deep his knowledge is of Terran in general and how he is not afraid to best out all these crazy strategies, but the way that he approached it today also, by the way, 12th first here for Su, that is really early. Hold on.
Yeah.
Enough about GuMiho. What is Su up to?
Yeah.
No gas, so is this just going to be some really safe
yeah,
play? Okay.
It could just be like to make sure that, yeah, there's no kind of like
I was getting
cheese
excited.
come in here. No, same thing. I'm like, oh, he's going to rush to do all in.
But yeah, GuMiho, every single game so far has been going for basically the same setup. Oh, we do have a gas actually coming down for Su. Okay, yeah. Forget about GuMiho. I want to see what Su cooks up here, because in his opening series against GuMiho, he really was not afraid to come through the pressure. And I think maybe even having sat on the sidelines and watched the last series against Reynor, I doubt Su really wants to go into the late game against a GuMiho that has the momentum of mech behind him.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those rushes where you try to barrel up the ramp with roaches. You send the Lings first, and the roaches come behind that. You know, it's funny, we were talking about like how GuMiho has to change his play style in order to like have a better game here, but it looks like Su's just going to interrupt whatever changes could happen and make him deal with this first. So the Lings are going to go around the Reaper, so this is really well timed out.
Yeah, and the command center's on the low ground too, so that is definitely going to have to get canceled. Marine in production, factory just now getting thrown down.
So because Terran feels safe taking the command center on the low ground, oh, he's only going to send 2 and 2. This is even dirtier.
He's a bad person.
He's a bad person. So you see 2, you say, okay, I can deal with this. I just have to try to, you know, assert myself in the low ground, and then he comes in with this. This is so sick.
He draw the Marine out. He's going for the Marine on the ramp. He's going to get the surround right now. The Marine gets taken out. SCV as well on the low ground. More SCVs getting pulled, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, and keep in mind there's roaches inbound here. So this is a really flimsy spot for Terran.
Lings once again coming in, focusing on that low HP SCV. Trying to get another one, but there's just enough Marines and that Reaper coming back home to hold on. Hellion is in production. And now the Reapers are, not the Reapers, excuse me, the Roaches are streaming across the map. So the command center will finish. And Su is droning behind this, but I think there's potential to get some real damage done here for Su.
Yeah, he's actually, again, okay, he sees it for a split second. Yeah, he turns around. So he's making the Ravagers here. There's still SCVs in the low ground. Some of them are damaged too. The Hellion can't really fight this, so it has to go up the ramp.
GuMiho did not realize until this moment. There's no bunker here on the high ground, only just now getting started. Reactor as well in production. First Cyclone in production too. GuMiho did go for that Hellion first.
There's like still 2 SCVs mining over here, but I guess it is more important to break this open. So he gets that part. The Cyclone is probably the most important unit to watch in the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be surprised if Su didn't just try to camp that factory right now.
Yeah. The Cyclone gets out. He's targeting the Ravager. The Ravager's going to run away.
Quick targeting there by GuMiho.
And he just goes for the SCVs, so 7 have been killed so far.
He's going to get that Cyclone too. Maybe one more stutter step. Does, in fact, get it. Hellion goes down as well. Now he can work his way into the main base. All these SCVs have been bruised from the earlier aggression with the Lings, so 10 in total, maybe even 11 going down.
So it's 30 to 20. These SCVs are still here, by the way. It's so funny. And I mean, this is really good. This is really good for Su.
Yeah.
He's GuMiho regardless starts his third command center. I guess why not?
Yeah, it's the kind of
You need to play
situation where
catch
like,
up.
there's not more roaches coming down the pipeline. You know that for sure here as GuMiho, but that was a well-executed attack there by Su. Got a lot of SCV kills, was able to basically stop all of the building momentum there for Terran. The first Hellion went down, the first Cyclone got taken out.
Kind of a cool opening here from Su. It's interesting how on top of Su, on top of GuMiho, excuse me, Su is in this game.
He's doing a very good job of mixing it up.
When you compare like every game these guys have, everything that Su does is like, I don't know. I'd be curious what the ladder record is with these two. You know, they've probably played against each other so much, but it just seems like Su has a perfect read on how GuMiho is going to behave. So this moment is where GuMiho has an opportunity to try to come back and do some damage. But in the last best of 3, this is where it backfired. By the way, 18 Lings and Ravagers are coming here, so he wants to try to catch this, shut this down, and then hit him again twice as hard.
I wonder if even more Lings are going to be in production. I'm watching that production tab really closely right now, Tasteless, because there is potential for even more damage. And yeah, 10 more Lings get started. So I think Su is not only looking to just try and stop this attack in its tracks, but also move across the map and get even more damage done. The third base at this stage almost even feels like a feign.
Look at this. He's going to slowly send Ravagers over here to the natural. There's one bunker. If he has enough Ravagers, he could just pop that. Stim is only halfway done, dude.
Yeah, Su is committing so hard on this attack. He's only just now going back into the drones. Only a couple of units right now in this bunker. First Bile's going to drop down. Bunker already at half HP as it gets repaired. And all the Lings now are coming.
Yeah, I think he could have done a little bit better with this attack. You know,
wow, what a pick.
Nice snipe with that. He's going to try to hit again. He wants to hit these SCVs that are going to be in the front trying to repair. He doesn't quite have enough Ravagers to space out the Biles to do damage. So actually, GuMiho lives through this.
Yeah, this is a pretty big loss here for Su. I was thinking that with that initial push, he was going to be able to get more damage done there on the bunker, but you know, Lings come across the map, and the way that GuMiho set up the wall and add his natural expansion, there just was basically no surface area. Like 4 Zerglings could attack it at a time. And as a result, GuMiho just able to parry this one quite effortlessly, and suddenly you could feel the momentum start to swing back from the early game where Su, with the first blow, was able to get a ton of economic damage done to GuMiho and just really steal the momentum to his side. And now GuMiho with a beautiful defense.
You know, it's funny because I'm starting to wonder if Su didn't do this. Not that it was a wrong move, but I feel like GuMiho is much more in this game right now.
He is.
You know, he's definitely got a path where he can get through this. 1-1 coming now. He can get a third base in a little bit here. I don't think there's a real opportunity. It seems like it all came down to the fact that one Ravager was killed off at any moment. Like right when another one was made, that was killed off, to where he couldn't get enough of a burst damage at the entrance to just open it up and get in. So he's going to take that third base now. I don't think there's any options for Su to do anything other than try to out-expand him.
Yeah, I think Su's just going to have to slow down and play a bit of a reactive game. Just shows how clutch some of the micro is in these moments, too. Is this Cyclone that got dropped out of the medevac and then sniped the low HP Ravager and then just got right back in?
Yeah.
Critical part of the defense there for GuMiho.
Okay, but he's going to push now.
Yeah, I like this.
So he's going to stim and he's going to kill these two queens.
Some big damage. These Lings can't fight alone. They need the Roaches and Ravagers to come and reinforce because those Stim Marines can kite them for days, Tasteless.
And he's still got the 2 Ravagers making. It's kind of the same thing that happened during the push, only this time he's on the defending end of this.
Oh, wait, he barely has any Roaches or Ravagers out on the map right now. Su caught a little bit with his pants down right here. That hatchery going to get canceled over at the 12 o'clock position.
And so this is, again, it's the sign of a good player is when you know you've won enough and now you need to get out and stay ahead.
Yeah, and GuMiho seeing that damage done and seeing how flimsy Su's army was in that moment immediately throws down a 4th command center and a 2nd factory here at the 3rd base. Yeah, that's the kind of push where you get economic damage done and you're quite happy as Terran to trade out and just escape with 1 medevac worth of units, but he got way more than he bargained for there.
It wasn't like a trade at all, right? He just gets the kill and gets away.
Yeah.
Counterattack comes in here, not too bad. But the push is going to come in here once more, and he can actually pin the Ravager again.
Yeah, luckily there's a lot more reinforcements there at the 3rd base, but these siege tanks in a pretty good position. Biles are going to rain down on these siege tanks so they get cleaned up, and oh my goodness, there isn't enough meat in front of this army here for Su. The Marines are just absolutely destroying everything.
Yeah, that's that 1-1 upgrade. He's got it. He can keep chasing this down. The Lings get shredded. They can't even do any damage. And, I mean, he might be able to survive this, but he also might just tap out in a little bit.
I mean, that was just so much damage done.
Yeah. He could pick up the tank. No, he's going to try to hold this position now.
I think it's smart. You basically just parade push from this position.
He basically did a perfect 1-1 timing attack. And I wonder if Su even realized the upgrades finished when the fight started. Because it looked like a fight where he was confident he should slowly overpower it, and it just totally backfired. Is this going to finish?
Oh, that's worrying. I don't know if Su can actually defend this position. There's so many Marines. Now, there is +1 Carapace here on the Roaches and Ravagers, but the Marines, they just kite their way back to the siege tanks. Siege tank, I guess, is...
Yeah, just one siege tank, apparently. Just Ravagers here. And once again, GuMiho just going to do so much damage in this fight, even though I think it's going to...
Oh,
I was going to say, it might be driven away, but now there's another push down here at the bottom.
Yeah, the Queens with a little bit of bad pathing coming in on that side. Two of them get cleaned up for basically free. And right now we have GuMiho about to take this 4th base here with the command center on the low ground with an army supply effectively equivalent to a Zerg. And he's out expanding the Zerg and his army. I mean, the army supply of 64 to 73 on paper doesn't look that great, but this is Marine tank medevac against basically pure Roach Ravager, which is like the weakest army in terms of supply you can assemble in StarCraft 2.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely an uphill fight for Su. I don't see an expansion anywhere. I don't see an attempted expansion anywhere, to be totally honest. He might try to counterattack here. Actually, I think he is going to counterattack here. There are 2 medevacs that are dropping. It looks like at 9 o'clock. I think he thought there was going to be a base there, so just kind of clicked that down, but there's nothing there. This big push is going to come in.
Yeah, going to force a lift here on the 3rd base for a moment as GuMiho is corralling the forces outside the natural expansion.
Yeah, the place where he dropped where there could have been an expansion, he just pushes up here. He's going to take out both of these Evo chambers.
Yeah, he's getting Overlords too. Man, how many Overlords has GuMiho killed today? Destruction. As now Su's going to try and breach this position. It's not the best setup actually here for GuMiho, but the reinforcements coming in from the natural ramp. There's just enough, especially with 2-2 here against the 1-1 of Su.
It's almost like an anti-timing with that attack, right? When it was finally action time, the upgrades had finished.
And this medevac with just 15 HP, barely escaping as well. No Queen there at the 4th base to snipe it down. It just feels like so many of these small trades are going in GuMiho's favor. And now that the double evolution chamber is dead and it's 2-2 to 1-1, these Marines can trade pretty well here against the Roach Ravager.
This is also just tech you don't want to be on forever, right? As Zerg. You can win fights with this, but it just seems like at this point in time with upgrades and everything else, Terran's kind of where they need to be.
I feel like the issue is at this stage for Su is he just doesn't have the economy really to work his way out of this composition. He has to try and win with his comp right here, right now.
He has to basically brute force it, probably in a situation like what we're looking at right now here. He's going to come forward. You know, the tank has not been targeted yet with those corrosive vials. There's actually a drop at 12 o'clock. Our observer hasn't shown yet. Zerg's still doing a lot of damage here. I don't know if he can get much further up.
It's a lot of damage, but these 2-2 Marines are trading way above their weight class here against the Roach Ravager. And once all the Roaches get whittled down, I mean, like, look at how low HP these Ravagers are. The Marines can just pounce on them and get so many kills. Su's walking a very fine line with this aggression right now, and GuMiho's gonna make him pay the price. SCV's coming forward to tank, and it all gets cleaned up. The 12 o'clock base off screen got taken out. 4 or 5 mules land, add insult to injury.
We still haven't put that on camera yet here. We eventually will see the 12 is gone, guys. So, I mean, I feel like Zerg just fizzles out here. I don't feel like there's much else to be said.
I think he's distance mining right now from the 9 o'clock position. I don't even believe that hatch rate is done. So the mineral income for Su, especially after those mules land, it's less than half of what GuMiho has. And I think that's going to translate into GuMiho with 1 or 2 production cycles of bio, especially now that Marauders are getting added into the mix. Just running over the army of Su. Oh, it's going to be 3-3 against 1-1 in a moment even.
Since we're at the 3rd, perfect timing here with the upgrades. Another fight's going to happen over here. The target is going to be just to the left side of the screenshot. There it is, that base over there. And
this Zerg army is just going to melt.
Yeah, I mean, this should be the very end of this game here.
A small group of bio just destroying Roach Ravager. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's going to be a GG. GuMiho takes game 1 in a much more impressive fashion. Although I got to say, man, Su really up against the ropes there that whole game. Fought really well.
Yeah, I feel like Su played the early game quite well up until he decided to commit to this, 35, 36 drone timing attack, which just completely fell flat. He got basically no value out of it at all when GuMiho was going 3CC as a follow-up to the early aggression, which on paper should be what allows you to punish him.
Yeah.
And so then from there, Gumi just had the upgrade advantage. He hit a sick 1-1 timing, had some favorable trades, and Su got locked into this army composition that just does not scale whatsoever. And GuMiho coming in with the drops, sniping the 12 o'clock hatchery, dropping at 9 o'clock, finding no base, and then killing both evolution chambers leads to what, 3-3 versus 1-1 at the end?
Yeah, you know, there were a couple moments where it felt like Su almost flipped the game. But every time it got close, the upgrades finished perfectly for GuMiho. And it was like that tug of war. Eventually, he was able to just kind of get that last pulled through. Guys, we're ready for game 2 in this final best of 3. Okay, we got Su in the bottom left, GuMiho in the top right. One of the things I wanted to talk about in that last game was like what Su did was pretty cool, but it didn't quite work, that attack at the start.
Do you mean the very first attack or the second one?
The very first attack, that then kind of led into the second attack, right? He was kind of stuck on Roach Ravager after that for a long time.
I think it was playable from that position. I mean, it didn't kill GuMiho outright, but he was droning behind it. Was something like, what, a 10 worker lead there for Su? I don't mind that too much, you know? He got a lot of damage done. GuMiho lost pretty much all early momentum. By the way, GuMiho mixing it up again. I think he's going for the old Byun build. First time he's busted this one out tonight, the 2-rack sweeper on the low ground.
Oh, yeah, look at this. I feel like every GSL day this year and last year we talk about this build, but I feel like GuMiho is the least likely to do this.
Yeah, this is what, 1 out of 5 games so far that he's done this now? 6?
Yeah.
1 out of 6. It might catch Su off guard. A lot of these players against him are going for pretty fast third bases. They just kind of sneak out the drone to the third quite early, dodging the Reaper.
So this build's interesting in that you can control their third base.
Yeah.
If you do it right, but there's some I guess not scouting tricks, but you can hide the drone, like you were saying, State, and try to circumnavigate the punish.
The thing is, that works against the build that GuMiho was doing before, where he would go for just 1 Reaper, but I think that GuMiho now throwing down the 2 racks after in 5 straight games going for essentially the same opening, although it branched off in different directions later on. He might just want Su to throw down that third hatchery so that he can completely deny it and gain some momentum. And so it makes me wonder how many Reapers he's going to build exactly. I'm guessing at least 4.
Yeah, we've had some where they get up to 3.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4. Yeah, 4th one gets started.
Yeah, and then there's I've seen 1 or 2 games where they just keep making them for a little bit. I wonder how long this is going to stay in the meta, too.
I don't think it's going anywhere unless we have a patch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a good build to throw into a Best of X series, and Byun has demonstrated time and time again how good it is at actually holding on against early aggression as well. Back when Byun was the first and only player really doing this build in the GSL, there were a couple of Zergs that would try Roach Ravager busts or Roach Ravagers with Lings to try and come in, punish him, especially on maps where his add-on would be on the unfortunate side, the exposed side of the wall, just because of the way the map is laid out and the asymmetry of StarCraft 2. And Byun, of all people, was always able to hold on. I feel like maybe what casted him die once out of all the pushes, and even then I'm not even sure if it was once or if it was somebody else.
Yeah, he really proved it works.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Byun was oftentimes criticized for being, like, maybe sometimes gimmicky. Like, this is just weird. Oh, hold on a second.
50 HP.
Yeah, he's going to have to cancel it. So, the opening build, the ideas of it totally pan out.
Yeah, it accomplished its goal.
Yeah, the Zerg doesn't get to develop normally. And behind it, Terran takes the 3rd command center. So this is like a win all around here for the Terran. Just to complete that idea from before, yeah, you know, it's funny when Byun came out with this, originally it felt kind of like it was like a trick. And that surely like a good player would just figure out a way to kind of maneuver it and navigate it, but even to this day, it's still really good.
It's so good that some players will almost exclusively do it in TVZ now, even top tier players. And
so
for somebody like GuMiho to mix it in is just so valuable because it's another build that your opponents need to prepare against. And oh man, these grenades, he's trying to get one of these queens.
Oh my god. So one of the funny things is that we don't normally see that many Reapers after this part. So this is kind of like a little cheeky, sneaky move where after you think the action's done and the third base can finally start, he comes in again and tries it again. I almost feel like he could have gotten that queen. He kind of like pushed it in and then pushed it away.
Yeah, it's hard to micro those grenades perfectly, but I think more importantly for GuMiho, he wants to do damage to the queens and not lose any Reapers because he's doing one of the most Byun follow-ups of all follow-ups. He went 3 racks behind it.
Yeah.
So it's 3 barracks in total. The engineering bay is very delayed, only just now getting thrown down. The factory, I believe, only just now finishing as the starport fires up. And those grenades mixed in with a ton of stem bio early on in the push have huge damage. It's almost like you're playing like a MOBA and it's like you're stun locking them.
Yeah.
In a big fight, which it sounds wonky, but the way that it pairs well, or the way that it pairs with these kind of 3 barracks openings just works so well, especially in the early game. This has a lot of potential to get damage done. We do not have that many lings out here for Su. He only has 12 lings and 8 queens. Stim is done.
There's no medevac here, so there's no way to heal. So it's like high risk, high reward.
Oh.
Is he going to pull away?
I almost wish he just committed.
But
instead,
I
he's
almost
just
kind of respect it more if he does pull away, though, instead
Yeah.
of just kind of going for it. But yeah, he's going to pull away.
I was wondering about this because he didn't send all these units that he's accumulating on his side of the map.
Yeah.
He just kind of banked them back at home, and so this just forces a huge round of lings.
But it
out of
works,
Su.
right? Because it forces an overreaction here.
Love that shot of
What happened?
It's like 4 supply depots getting thrown down. I think he decided on 3. GuMiho just got like giga supply blocked.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
His maneuver worked, though.
Yeah.
He forces Zerg to overreact. And
Ooh, nice pick.
I mean, I got to say, this is kind of a cool way that GuMiho's played this out so far.
Yeah, and now I feel like because he saved all the bio, and I mean, we talk about him sharking across the map and forcing all these lings and eventually bailings out of his opponent. That's the kind of thing that can slow down the Zerg economy as a bit of a hiccup.
Yeah.
And then you come out with the medevacs and with 1-1 here as GuMiho, which is clearly what he's building up towards. I think it's going to get very scary here for Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, for Zerg, he's been on the receiving end of everything. The drop is going to come in here at this bottom base. He's going to drop it out of vision. He actually might just be able to come in here, stim, and kill this.
Oh, Creep Tumor reveals it. Scan goes down.
Will that spoil the surprise attack?
I don't think he's going to get the hatchery, right?
He's going to go behind the minerals and try to optimize damage.
Meantime, look at this. Third base right now is getting attacked. Don't have a shot of it on screen because there's a counterattack and the Terra Natural. Man, there's action happening everywhere on the map. These Marines do get cleaned up in front of Su's third. And now GuMiho just pivoting into the main base here with this drop. Should be able to get at least a couple of drones, but some nice reactions so far by Su, man. He's doing a great job of holding on here.
Yeah, well, this fight's going to be forced here because otherwise he's going to lose his spawning pool. I think he might just end up losing the spawning pool. That can actually cause other drops later to get out of control.
Yeah, he didn't start rebuilding the spawning pool until just now, and I don't even think he has a Roach Warden, so this is going to completely stop his production for a few moments. So the fortunate thing is for Su here is I don't believe GuMiho is that much more army ready for an immediate follow-up attack. In fact, he's only throwing down a 4th command center just now, so it's not like the spawning pool going down could potentially be a game-ending move, but this is still very annoying here for Su because he's banking this larva. He wants to build at least some lings right now for sure. Instead, he effectively has to drone. He's kind of forced into droning because what else are you going to use that larva on in this stage? And
right. No, he's got to do something with it. And now this push is going to come out. Again, droning was the only option. He didn't even have like a decision tree to follow.
44 lings in production just shows what a traffic jam it was waiting for that thing to free up.
Is this actually enough for Terran? Can he actually make this work? I feel like he'll probably bail from this position in a sec.
I think this is mostly designed to levy pressure and deny the creep spread here in the middle because Su, one thing Su's done really well so far today just in general, I feel like better than he's done in the past, is his creep spread has been so much more on point in this GSL than in previous GSLs. I mean, despite all the pressure that's been put on him at the 9-minute mark. He, at some stages, was pretty much halfway across the map with his creep already. Which is quite remarkable considering he went up against a 5 Reaper opening.
Well, it looks like he almost gets the surround. Obviously, this is just going to be about GuMiho trying to squeeze out as much damage as possible.
Nice focus fire on those Bailings. One of them does survive, gets a hit on one very unfortunate Marine.
So this is what I was a little bit worried about with that setup we had earlier, is like GuMiho's got a lead, but if he just throws units away, he's not going to have the kind of momentum later on. Su, kind of the same story. He's going to come in here now, see what damage he can get done. GuMiho going to be taking his 4th base in a second here. 2-2's about to finish.
Yeah, but +2 carapace is already done for Su. It's one of the big reasons why these fights have been so favorable for him. Is that Su, this game as opposed to the previous game, well, I mean, he didn't go for that attack that just completely failed.
Right.
So that helps quite a bit. But his upgrades have been very on point, keeping pace with the Terran. Hive now starting more Banelings in production as Su's really just fully powering up right now. And I feel like he's gotten to the stage in the game where he has navigated all the tricks that GuMiho has up his sleeve, and I think Su is going to be really comfortable with his position from here, man.
I agree. I think Su's going to be tough to beat from here on out. Even though I think the early game was really strong from GuMiho, I think that Su's basically played it fine. He's weathered the storm, so to speak.
Oh, this Widow can get so much damage done. In fact, actually not the best hit right there. Instead just going to vacate this position. Could be a tricky spot to attack into with Ling Bane, but Su made it work.
Another little attack comes in here. Now this isn't going to get that much done, but it's pretty low risk as long as he can pick up and get back out.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a timer because of those 8 Hydras on the map, but...
So, when we talk about GuMiho, we always say that he can kind of do everything. I do feel like out of all the Korean Terrans we have, he maybe isn't as strong as the rest when it comes to late game bio like this with tank.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say it feels more like the mid game is the weak spot for him with his bio.
Well, he just seems to push out and then try to hold these positions that we know he can't keep. And so then he hemorrhages a bunch of his army, and then he's just not as strong later on.
Yeah, he almost plays a little bit of an older style of bio now that I think about it. The way that he tries to control the map, mostly with, Marine medevac tank.
It's like he tries to get a foothold somewhere, but he's never committed to pushing from it. And then eventually the Zerg just makes enough stuff, they just go kill it off.
He also seems, compared to a lot of the really strong bio-Terrans, such as Cure, such as Maru, a little bit slow in the transition off of this sort of composition to Ghost. I think only just now is the Ghost Academy. I almost said the Ghost Port. I couldn't think of what the building was called. Only just now is the Ghost Academy getting thrown down. Is another engagement here in the middle of the map. Actually, some pretty good Baneling connections off of Creep there for Su, but GuMiho is going to stick it out. These Marines kiting all the way back into the Widow Mines. Lasers firing off. That was a good hit there with the Widow Mines, but Su just has so much. That was a nice trade for 86 drones in total. I mean, he hit right before 3-3 was done there for Terran, so it was a little bit of an anti-timing there for GuMiho.
Yeah. And, Zerg can ramp back up and try to max out again. I feel like on this map, the distance for Terran to push is so long, and I don't feel like there's any desirable spot to hit. Oh, and he's going to move it again.
These Widow Mines have potentially got some really big hits off. Aren't re-microed, though. They aren't retargeted on the big clump of Lings, so the Ling's going to continue to flood in. Multiple siege tanks on the left side getting taken out. Does Su just have too much Tasteless?
I mean, he might be able to just run him over here. I don't see a lot of siege tanks. I just see one at the top that's not even in siege mode.
I think he might have just broken GuMiho.
Well, GuMiho just doesn't have any kind of, foothold over his own position. Yeah, that's it. GG. Okay, game 3.
Wow.
Kind of a weird ending, right? It looked like there was going to be a small attack in there, and then when it zooms out, there are no tanks in siege mode. There are no Widow Mines to help defend. It's just Marines all separated. But, we were talking about this a little bit in the last game. GuMiho, he knows how to do the build orders, and he understands some of the ideas with it in, the standard play. But he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of power when he finishes getting all his building blocks in place.
I feel like he's the kind of player that does this style, and if he has a good early game and mid game and can snowball with it, he does that perfectly fine. But in a match like this against Su, where Su navigated what was honestly a very tricky early game with a 2-rack sweeper that was able to deny the third, the first time GuMiho's done that build tonight, with a follow-up of a 3-Rex where GuMiho feigned this big stim push and then instead retreated, forced these Lings out, and opted instead for a 1-1 timing. Su dealt with all of that very well. He didn't panic, he didn't lose his cool, he didn't go for engagements that were unfavorable for him. He droned just the right amount where he could handle the pressure and still have the economy behind it. And he just kind of built the momentum from there. So Su playing a really miraculous game number 2. And this next match going to decide who's going on to the round of 8 and who is going home.
Okay, this is it, guys. The final game of the evening. One player goes on, the other one is out. GuMiho in the bottom left, Su in the top right. I do feel like GuMiho has to kind of go. He's got a choice here between traditional normal play and weird play. I think he's got to go in the weird direction. I think he's got to be unorthodox. I think he's got to go with what works.
Yeah, I feel like GuMiho's got to reach back into his little bag of tricks.
You know, it's fine to oscillate between different styles, but he's gone with more kind of standard. You know, if you covered up his ID, I wouldn't think it's him.
Except for the Reynor series. Then
except for that one game.
But the thing was, in that Reynor series, he looked so good at his gameplay. Even when it felt like he was at the brink of death, he was able to claw his way back with a low economy, with a scrappy army, in very tough situations, and still navigate his way to a victory. And that meching play style, even though he did a variety of different styles, I mean, game number 1 was what was like basically Thor Battlecruiser in the end game with like 20-something SCVs, into game number 2, effectively battle mech against Broodlords.
Yeah.
2 very different flavors. And they both worked for him in what felt like a lot more of a commanding fashion than the bio play that he's been trying to go against Su, because the bio, he can win with it, absolutely, but...
Yeah, you know, it's going to be kind of odd if he manages to beat Reynor and then just dies out here to Su.
I mean, Su is looking a lot better so far this year than
you know, it's funny because we casted with these guys, or have casted them for so long that you get used to them performing at a certain level. And then when there is a breakout performance, you realize, like, oh, wow, okay, maybe he really has reinvented himself. Maybe we have to totally, you know, change how we view this player and how they're going to do.
I'm wondering how GuMiho is going to utilize the gold minerals on this map. Because I'm not super sure how that's going to mesh with his style, especially if he goes for something like, oh, wow, 3rd command center on the low ground planet, too. This is greedy from GuMiho.
Now, I'm curious with, you know, I think we're all still wrapping our heads around this map. I'm curious exactly with this matchup, like, does this tend to work out better for one race and one matchup, or what? You know, obviously, when you get gold minerals right away, you can get more stuff that costs minerals, right? So for Terran, that's like Marines. With Zerg, that's Roaches.
I feel like it's a lot
better.
Zerglings
too, of course.
Right. I feel like it's a lot better for Terran generally. I mean,
Seems
it almost
like
feels
it,
like
right?
every single one of the maps in the pool are very Terran favored.
There was just
But,
really. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just wrapping up my thought. You go ahead, Tasteless.
You know, when they were first making the original, this is pre-StarCraft Brood War, by the way. They were first trying to figure out how to make maps. Like some maps, you didn't have gas at your natural expansion.
Right.
You know, and it was like pretty quickly figured out, like, oh, we can't ever have that in a competitive map. But I do like that we're experimenting with these ideas now in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Especially considering, you know, in the pipeline we will eventually have, I'm quite sure, those, I don't know the official terminologies, but we're going to have those healing zones that will get added to the game eventually. I think that should happen. I'm hoping sometimes this year. I would love to see something like that and how that changes the way the game is played. And in addition, you know, worker-only pads are another thing that's been added, I believe, to the map editor that map makers in the future can take advantage of. And I know that, generally speaking, a lot of pro players and also a lot of people that just grind the ladder a ton are typically hesitant about these kind of maps, to put it lightly. They're not usually a fan of big shakeups. And, you know, in this map pool, for instance, it is very Terran favored. It's just the vibe that I get. watching games played and talking to the pro players, but I don't mind the experimentation. If we can eventually find a way to have unique map features like this, or the ones that are going to be coming in the next few months or next few years, and find a way to make it balanced and fresh, I think that's the best possible situation for everybody.
100%.
And you only get there by experimenting, right?
Yeah, you got to get 2 top players and you know, put it somewhere in a tournament and throw them together and see what kind of games it creates. And then if there's things that need to be changed, then you make those alterations. So in this game, unsurprisingly, we're seeing both sides ramp up to the tech we were talking about. Bio on one side, Roach Tech is you know, coming here for the Zerg as well. I guess the question I have for myself is this a game where, you know, the Terran having that extra bio muscle, having the same amount of tanks normally and medevacs normally, but having the extra Marines come out here and maybe having a quicker command center while you're doing it, can Zerg grapple with that? And if so, how?
It's kind of tricky to judge. And this, by the way, has been one of the more passive games, if not the most passive game we've had all night. It's almost 6 minutes. Only the first couple of Lings went down to Hellions. As both players are just very, very greedy with the way they're approaching this game. This one final set. Sue already at 66 workers, only just now beginning a lot of Roach production. Just be able to match the Terran army here in the mid game, whereas GuMiho throws down another command center on the low ground at the 6-minute mark. I mean, this is the kind of GuMiho going bio that is really scary to me. You know, the kind of GuMiho that went untouched, that is building momentum, that had this gold base in the back, and then threw a low ground CC at the 3rd and a low ground CC at the 4th.
Well, I think
unpunished.
Also, as long as we see GuMiho not just like set up shop somewhere on the map and then, you know, lose that group of units, then do that a couple times, I think he should be fine. I think he just has to focus, kind of like what Maru does so well, at just kind of building up a death ball, harassing with it, utilizing it, getting value out of these little parts of it, but then regrouping and coming in with a big attack and not bleeding stuff off everywhere.
Really great drop location here for GuMiho, barely out of vision of Sue, as it looks like he's trying to set up a little bit of a multi-prong. There's a siege tank maneuvering its way to the middle. It's GuMiho going to throw down a scan, clean up some of these creep tumors here down at the south side, just to make this an easier avenue of attack later on in the game. 2-2 in production here for Terran, as well as a second factory. And Sue, once again, going back to the Roach Ravager composition here. I'm surprised he's not mixing in more melee upgrades or Lings, but I guess he just really wants a powerful mid-game attack like this one, as he's coming in on this planetary fortress, absolutely wants to break this position before it's ready. There isn't even combat shields yet done for GuMiho, maybe a little bit too greedy. This is a strong push, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's got to drop behind this. He's going to send these infantry in here from behind, but I feel like the Terran army was never able to group up.
Oh, the Queens even!
I didn't even realize!
Yeah, Sue's pulling absolutely everything. He never droned past 66. The command center now finally lifting. All the SCVs are going to go down. GuMiho might have flown a little bit too close to the sun in terms of greed.
Yeah, this is potentially over. I mean, the Queens are going to keep coming. The Ravagers are setting up. He just has to, just blow out this wall in. As the Queens come up, the transfuses can come down. The Biles are looking really good. He's going to try to advance. The tank's in the back. Another Bile targets it. It goes down. One more tank comes in its place.
Yeah, siege tank goes down. This Bio's doing a good job holding on. All the reinforcement Roaches, though, might be just a little bit too much. The Queen's getting a lot of work done in the back line there, and GuMiho might finally just be broken. He has to lift off the 3rd base. Gonna lose his factory on the low ground as well. +2 infantry weapons almost complete. That should help GuMiho a lot try and stabilize on the high ground, but the question is it just too much damage? Behind it, Sui's already starting to drone up. He's unseated the 4th command center. He's lifted the 3rd command center. So much economic damage is done, not just to the bases, but also the natural expansion is mining out. The main base is almost mined out. GuMiho has almost no money. It's all up to this attack.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try to come up the ramp now. I think with 2 tanks, it's going to be hard to pull this off. It's still possible. Sue has a choice here. Does he back up and try to play the game out? Does he try to close it out? I think he has to back up.
He might.
There's also an opportunity here for GuMiho to try to advance and catch these Queens as well. Now, with the siege tank set up here, maybe, I guess he doesn't have enough Ravagers though, right?
No, and with 2-2 done, these Marines are doing a lot better of a job at dealing with them. And this has been a pretty favorable trade here for GuMiho when all is said and done. Every single queen getting cleaned up. I mean, that's not too bad. 4th command center could land back down. But it's kind of a tough position to call. Su's been able to work his way up to 80 drones, but he's kind of, again, locked on this Road Ravager composition. 2-2 is still maybe about a minute away here for the Zerg player. And GuMiho, although he sustained all of this economic damage, eventually a couple of cycles of production will come through. And Su might have a hard time breaching him, but I say that in Su, he is not trying to tech up. He is not trying to flesh out his tech tree. He's building so many more roaches, Tasteless.
Yeah.
And this might just be too much.
I mean, basically, GuMiho has tried to reclaim the exact position as before, and what Su wants to do is come back twice as hard. He wants to punish the fact that GuMiho wants to completely replace what happened from before. He's coming in, a lot more biles are coming down. If he gets in range of the tanks, the biles, the Marines are not going to have that. Oh, hold on a second.
And the Planetary is doing a great job of soaking up damage, even with just a couple of SCVs repairing it. Plus, the bios can never fully connect with those 2 siege tanks in the back line. So GuMiho's standing army is still quite respectable compared to Su's.
GuMiho did a really good job holding that. The gold base is mining out, by the way, so that boost is going to be gone. But yeah, I think Su may have slightly overextended. I think he got a little bit too ambitious here. And he's going to try to attack it again. This is right as these upgrades are about to finish here for level 3.
Yeah, 2-2 right now. Terran versus Zerg, but GuMiho, I mean, this is enough bio, I think. You can just kite back into the siege tanks and into the planetaries. Su needs to start working on plan B. And I don't think he's going to, Tasteless.
No,
he's not taking additional gases. He's not getting 3-3. He's not going for the Hive even to unlock 3-3. He just wants to end the game. Right now, this composition and the supplies, they tell a story, but really it's the army supplies. GuMiho's army, especially with 3-3 finishing, it's very formidable. Wiles raining down on the siege tanks. Su has to break GuMiho.
Yeah, it's not even like a double down. It's like a triple or quadruple down here. The infantry is looking very, very strong here for GuMiho. He's able to slice through all of that. Tanks still remaining in the background, and I think Su is going to, well, you know, I was about to say he's going to slowly realize he overextended. Apparently not. Apparently, he's just going to continue to make Zerglings and Roaches.
Yeah,
I think we've all been in games like this where you just are stuck doing something. Look, it might still work, but it is going to be tragic if he loses under these circumstances.
Yeah, this is very close right now for GuMiho. It's actually quite ambitious of him to put these Marauders over here on this side of the map with these 2 medevacs, although it will force a response here from Su. The issue for Su is that this 4th base is so hard to break. The Planetary Fortress tucked away like this where you can't really get much of an arc on it. No Banelings, but there isn't a lot of bio or siege tanks anymore because the Marauders went to the top side of the map. GuMiho perhaps overextending. If Su can take down this Planetary, it will be huge for him.
He needs to start to damage the exterior here with these SCVs on it and try to bile that down. Can he get it? He does manage to drive the SCVs away. It goes down. That was basically the foothold over there for that base.
Yeah, and the 3rd base is basically wide open over there at the 9 o'clock position. I mean, these Marauders, yeah, they are denying the mining over here at the gold base, but Su has many other bases fully mining. For GuMiho now, he has to pull these SCVs. I think he might have gotten a little bit greedy in terms of army. If those Marauders are back at home, he might have a chance to defend, but Tasteless, I don't know if he can hold on anymore.
Yeah, I think this last tank is going to fall, and that should be that. He's going to have to lift the CC off again.
But keep in mind, the army supply is still very even. All of the lead here in supply for Su is in terms of workers. It's not in terms of army.
That's true.
There is a world where GuMiho is able to claw this one back, but I don't know how many universes there are in the multiverse. GuMiho probably only wins in one of them. Is that the universe we're in right now, Tasteless? I don't know.
That is the question. I mean, you're right. The reality is GuMiho could lash back and maybe somehow get into a spot where, you know, counterplay could actually work for him.
But it has to happen right now.
The thing is, again, it's going to be with exactly what GuMiho has right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like already perhaps too much time has passed. Su's doubled his army supply in the last minute or so because economy is just so powerful, and I feel like this next blow might be the ending one here for GuMiho.
Yeah, like the push is going to come up here. Now, Ravagers have a hard time, you know, optimizing for damage against Bio because the Bios won't really connect to him. You can kind of pick up and stim and run away or whatever. But I think at this point in time, there's just too much of everything that is Zerg right now to ever directly deal with his army. So he can play keep away all he wants, but he's going to have to eventually deal with the inevitability of the push that's headed towards this base. It's coming in here right now.
Let's keep in mind, though, GuMiho is a master of these scrappy situations, trying to take down this triangle third base, but there's just enough to reinforce, and there's nothing to protect the main here for GuMiho. Su just walks on top of the production. I think that might just be it.
Yeah, he has to make sure he has enough to deal with this back at home, though. This is an insane amount of units.
I don't think he will until he loses more army. In fact, no, he's going to go back home. He's pulling everything back home. He's not getting on top of the production.
Yeah, he's just decided all he has to do is deal with this, defend. He can always send one more attack to the only obvious base that could be taken here right now.
Oh, the medevac's getting picked off here is brutal
the
for
Spores
GuMiho.
are heroes right now.
With GuMiho doing everything he possibly can to stay in this game. Even the Queen coming in from the high ground, going to be able to snipe 2 more medevacs. Only 1 remains. And GuMiho, 0 minerals per minute right now. He's only just resaturating the natural expansion.
This is it. This game should be moments away from ending here. GuMiho digesting the loss. You know, looking at what he's got, he has an army supply of 44 with 16 workers. Zerg is not far away from maxing out again. You know, Roach Ravager, you max out very quickly. He's going to send a medevac out again. I think there's a lot of ways to end this game. There are maybe, at least for Su, there's probably 0 ways to win this game here for GuMiho. He can, if he wants to, split his army in 2 and attack the expansion at 1 spot and defend it back at home.
I just feel like there just isn't enough supply anymore. GuMiho try as he might to stabilize. Eventually, the ending blow will come. Su is so close to that max supply. And the issue for GuMiho is just he really has no way to get back online in terms of economy. He hasn't even produced an SCV in this time because he knows he can't secure the additional base. He's lifting from, I believe, his main to take this expansion over at 10 o'clock and... Oh.
Well, I feel like this next attack is going to sledgehammer this spot wide open.
Yeah, but I mean, what a moment here for Su.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I got to say, Su, I thought he was going to lose first today.
I was thinking so, too. I had him pegged as the underdog.
Yeah, and here he is. He's going to be surviving this group. He's going to flatten GuMiho. And that's going to be that. GG. Su going on into the round of 8.
For what feels like the first time in a very long time, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Su, he's been fighting for his life. Very often the first player picked in the group stages because he just isn't getting the respect that he deserves anymore. But from the last GSL and now in this GSL, Su is looking so much stronger than the Su of the past. It's really inspiring to see him come back.
Yeah, you know, I thought there were a lot of possible outcomes today. I have to say I'm kind of surprised with every result we had, minus Hero getting out.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic day here at GSL, and Su in a really close series here against GuMiho, just barely able to edge it out.
You know, it's funny. There was a period where just Su was like, I'm going to win this game exactly this way. I'm not going to transition out of this. I am going to lock in. I'm going to keep hitting him as hard as I possibly can. I don't care if he counterattacks. I'm just going to force him to lift. Impressive stuff, though.
In the end, it was the right call. Maybe if GuMiho doesn't go for the drop with all those Marauders on the other side of the map, there is a world where he defends and holds on. But at the same time, there is GuMiho. How do you know that your opponent is just fully sending it again and again and again? Because if the transition is coming, then yeah, that is the right move to go for the counterplay, to try and get damaged on the other side of the map. But Su just recognized his moment. He's like, no, this is do or die. I am all into this position. Roach Ravager, I am going to kill you. It works, and now Su is going into the round of 8.
All
right, we're going to talk with Su after his victory in the final match. Wow, round of 8 after 5 years, Su. Congratulations. We got to see a lot of signature playstyle from you today.
무조건 정문을 뚫고 들어간다라는 그 마음가짐을 통해서
And then we definitely saw a burst of confidence from you. You infiltrated his main entrance.
올해 경기 전체적인 테마 어떻습니까?
So what was the overall theme like today for you?
최근에 이제 세라 선수가 너무 잘해가지고.
Well, recently Serral's been on his peak performance. A lot of the players actually try to mimic Serral,
잘안 됐는데.
but they never really are able to do so. So I decided to actually craft my own pass in StarCraft, and I think that really worked out well today.
쉽지 않은 싸움 끝에 올라왔는데요.
Yes, it was not an easy battle for Yusu to make it to round of 8.
기대감에 지금 부응하는 모습.
And a lot of the fans have their expectations on you this season. You make it to round of 8, and you are off to a fresh start in a new team.
김준호 선수가 같이 올라가게 됐어요.
And Hero actually made it to the round of 8 before you. Did you expect that? No, I didn't really expect that. No, it was a group of deaths for us, so I thought I would get eliminated today. But now that I make it to round of 8, I'm really relieved, and I want to thank my team for supporting me. So in the prior match against GuMiho, you showed good performance. So in the losers match, GuMiho's macro looked really good against Reynor. So what were your thoughts watching him play in that match against Reynor? Well, he opted for the Bionic in his first match against me, and he lost. So I thought he would go for the mechanic in the later match, and I knew that it would be kind of hard to counter that. But thankfully, he went for the Bionic again, so it was an easy win for me, I think. GSL Season 2 Group B, you make it, you secure second place in your group, and now you'll be allocated the same group with Maru. So last time you did lose to Maru 2-1. This time around, maybe you can pull off a revenge against him. What do you think? Well, that time I think I thought I would just lose 2-0. But I was able to fight until the end, put up a battle against him. This time, I will actually try to be on the winning side. So performance-wise, in the first set against GuMiho, you went for the roaches and he went for the cyclone. Maybe you should focus on the cyclone first. What do you think? Well, I mean, that build was one that I don't frequently use. It was kind of like an impromptu decision. So I think my skill proficiency wasn't at the level to go for the tactic. So we use the same strategy in Dynasty again? I mean, ZVT is hard, so it's not a map that I usually like to play. I think I'm going to have to practice more on that map. Well, so many fans, they are cheering for you, they're rooting for you, Sue. So any closing thoughts before you head off? I'm sure a lot of fans, they just, they gave up on me because of my usual playstyle, but today I was able to prove them wrong, and I'm really thankful that I was able to do so. I'll try to prove a better performance in the next stage. Thank you.
Excellent work, Andy. Well, there we have it, man.
Yeah, not quite the results I think anybody expected coming into this one, but
yeah,
Sue with a pretty tremendous day overall. Hero also absolutely dominating, and I mean, for Reynor, honestly, my heart breaks.
Sad, man. I thought he was going to get out of this group. You know,
me too.
I think in his defense, his opponents played really well.
Oh, Hero was out of this world.
Yeah, and
today, beyond any doubt.
GuMiho played some great games.
And GuMiho is also one of the hardest players in the world, if not maybe the hardest to prepare against specifically, especially in a format like the GSL, where he just has time to cook up basically whatever it is that he wants. As we take a look here at the next match. Next week we're playing Group D, not Group C.
Look
Solar,
at Solar's
DRG,
beautiful
Nightmare,
hairdo,
and Beyond.
man. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's old. No, it's now it's new. It's gone full circle, okay? So we have Solar, DRG, Nightmare, and Beyond. In case you're seeing that and you're confused, Group D, what? Weren't we just in Group B? We've had to rearrange the schedule. So Group C will be last. Group D is going to be right after that. Yeah, every Thursday, 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Join us in our studio or join us online.
Although next week, Wednesday, I think 5 p.m. KST. We're going to have a graphic about that later. There's a really cool show match coming up.
We're having StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2 match coming up. You do not want to miss that.
Yeah, and the way that it works is going to be so cool as well. I took a look at some YouTube videos of people playing it, and there's like a oh yeah, here we go. We got the StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2 super match, May 15th, Wednesday, 5 p.m. KST. That is an hour and a half earlier than we typically start. This mod is so cool. They recreated the StarCraft 1 races in the StarCraft 2 engine.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have like StarCraft 1 Terran versus StarCraft 2 Terran in the same match. You're going to see like Marine Marauder exploding to spider mines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I could not be more hyped about this, man.
It's a really
so
cool idea. We're going to have StarCraft 2 pros and StarCraft 1 pros duking it out. Do join us for that and let us know what you think. Maybe we can do more stuff like this in the future, but it's Africa TV kind of going on a limb here.
And I think it's one of the best ideas that we've had in a long time. This is so exciting. Also, you will be able to watch it live here in the studio. I believe you can get the tickets online. Yeah, the link is down there. I think it's Manwan, 10,000 won, which is
$10.
like $7 US or $8 US. It's cheap. And
if you want to buy those tickets, our tickets go live every Friday, 5:30 p.m.
Yeah. Also for the special event, the StarCraft 1 versus StarCraft 2, pretty sure that will sell out almost instantly. It's my guess.
That specifically should. Yeah.
I mean, Brood War is pretty big out here, and this
we
is
have
kind
the
of a
overlap of the StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, so you're going to get audiences from both trying to get that.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the best of both worlds, man. I cannot be more hyped.
Yeah. So. Other than that, kind of sad Reynor loss, but it was a day of great games, and hope he comes back. You know, GSL is a different tournament. It's tough.
I hope so, too.
I think the players that have played it for a long time and the prep that comes with it, you know, it is a different mindset, it's like a whole other beast. You know?
Everybody knows that Reynor has what it takes to make it deep into GSL. It's just you need a couple iterations of practice in this format.
He can beat any GSL player. The question is, can he beat him in a Code S format?
It's tough.
The prep is very different.
Especially now that GSL is once a week instead of twice a week. I mean, there is just
even,
so much
even
more
time to prep. But it's kind of the only long-form tournament like this. It's live of stakes as high as these. Guys, thank you for joining us. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.